Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, I did a little bit of tweaks in the office, so just allow me a few minutes to make sure that everything is okay. I got a new microphone. Let me know if it sounds nice. Now I see that the level is too high, though. Let me see. I'll remove this. Remove this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. One moment. Okay. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, still the level is too high. How do I lower this? This is the level. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthabhutale. Okay, I think now it's nice. Let me know how it sounds. Okay, so please share in the groups. This is an important session. So I think we are ready to go. Everything seems all right. Okay, so thank you very much for joining this live session, and thank you for those of you who are watching this later on, also as a replay, maybe on the YouTube channel. So we're broadcasting to our personal YouTube channel as well as the ISKM TV YouTube channel, as well as both Facebooks. So in this way, we got 4 places where we're broadcasting. I know that no other Prabhus are giving classes on Thursdays, so that's why I humbly took that little slot, so that I do not overlap anyone. Okay, so so thank you very much for coming. Today's topic will be, so it is in this series, so Strīdharma, so religious principles for women. Of course, we discuss everything. We discuss also religious principles for men too. And the theme of these classes that I started to give on every Thursday is addressing Krishna conscious taboos. So things that devotees are not discussing much, or they're a little bit uneasy to discuss. So last week we had child marriage. So we showed the importance of why girls should be married early. And since we are in this Strīdharma series, then we are going to speak about divorce. And this is it. So without further ado, let us begin. So I will be sharing. So last week I got some complaints that the text was a little bit too small. So what we'll do today, we will just use, when I show my computer, we'll use full screen for the quotes, and when I speak, I'll be changing. So let me see how that looks. Okay, so we'll do like this. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjalashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupaha Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunantam Vitam Tam Se Krishna padam sahagana lalita shivishakam vitamscha. He Krishna karuna sindhu dina bandho jagatpate. Gopesha gopika kanta radha kanta namostute. तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्राणममि हरिप्रिय वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसरि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you very much for coming to discuss this important topic. So divorce in devotee family. I take this topic very much at heart because I went through, as a child, I saw my parents divorce, even though they were devotees. So for those of you who do not know, I was born in ISKCON in Montreal City, Canada. My parents met there. So, and when I was 8 years old, divorce occurred. So in the life of a child, the divorce is the worst thing I think that can happen. It is even worse than seeing the parents fighting. Fighting, Shastra says that husband and wife sometimes will have some arguments. Chanaka Pandit says that these things will come and go. So we should not take these too seriously. But that is in a very well-established marriage relationship. Such fighting are not to be taken seriously because we know that divorce does not exist in Vedic culture. But in the Western world, unfortunately, when there is too much fight, too much arguments between husband and wife, then there is divorce, unfortunately. There's even a saying here in China. In Chinese, the translation means after 7 years, there's no more taste. So meaning, you've been married for 7 years and it's gone. There's no more this spark that they say, right? So for a child to see the father and mother separate, it is a life-changing situation. It is very much disturbing. It is very much hurtful. A child always feels happy to see father and mother together. This is actually a spiritual feeling exhibited through Mata, that we want to see Radha Krishna together. We want to see the Supreme Divine couple together. So this very primeval desire is being communicated through Mata and wanting to see the father and the mother being together. So, and the child feels confused. The child needs both. He needs the love of the father and the mother, both. The father is there also to guide the child, especially once the child turns 5 years old onward. Chanaka Pandit says from 0 to 5, we should be very lenient with the child. Let him do mistakes, do not chastise much. That is not good. He has to develop his personality, and if we too much put restrictions and chastisements, that will be blocking his psychological development. 5 years after, chastisement can begin. More strictures, rules, small sadhana, austerity, like waking up early in this way. 10 years onwards until 15 years, we should become like a tiger, Prabhupada said. We have to be very, very strict. And I understand why. In my own life, I started to doubt about Krishna when I was 10, 11, and I told my father, Papa, I do not believe anymore. I have doubts like that when I was 10, 11 years old, So at that age, especially, children will become more and more independent. So this is when we have to tighten up the screw, So, but to see the parents divorce is very traumatic. Not only that, a child does not understand, a Krishna conscious child, a child in a devotee family does not understand that the parents are also patients. They are not perfect. They are also trying to get themselves purified and so on. So one subtle understanding that I had was that if this Krishna consciousness movement is so good, why is my mother and father separating? or why they're doing things that they're doing, maybe like some fightings and so on. So the child does not understand that his parents are also trying to advance spiritually. I do not blame my father nor my mother, but looking back at it and having the knowledge that I got now from Srila Prabhupada's books, I can understand actually what took place. So this Divya Gyan, when we get knowledge, we rise to the mode of goodness, things become crystal clear. We understand why things happen. This is that, this is this, this is that. So looking back at it, I have a very different perspective of that what I used to have when I was a child. When I was a child, I would put more blame on my father. But I did not understand all the intricacies. And as I grew up more and more, I started to understand, and I saw that my mother was also to blame, definitely. And of course, I'm not here to blame him or her. No, this is not the way. They have tried their best, both of them, in the circumstances that they had. And plus, at ISKCON in those days, in Montreal, there was no proper guidance and so on. And the gurus that initiated them were not bona fide, you know. And in this way, they struggled, but they tried their best, you know. But so today we'll be discussing about divorce in Vedic culture. We'll be seeing instructions of Lord Krishna directly to the Gopis. We'll be seeing also examples of Vedic women like Parvati and Lord Shiva in this way. So without further ado, we shall begin. So first, I would like to show these statistics here that show how much divorce is there. So this is only for the United States. But you can see some statistics here, like, for example, wait, let me see if, okay. Almost 50% of all marriages in the United States will end in a divorce or separation. So these statistics are from last year, 50%. So one marriage in two will end up in divorce. Researchers estimate that 31% of all first marriages end in divorce. 60% of second marriages end in divorce. First, second, that means, you know, the wife remarries. The mother remarries or the husband remarries. 60%. 73% of all third marriages end in divorce. Just see, one marriage, two marriage, three marriage. In the United States has the 6th highest divorce rate in the world. Here's a chart of the top 20. So we have Russia, Belarus, Gibraltar, United States, Moldova, Lithuania, Belgium, Cuba. So in this way, so India is surely not in the top 20. So a few more stats. Every 42 seconds, there is one divorce in America. That equates to 86 divorces per hour, 2,046 divorces per day, 14,000 divorces per week, and 740,000 divorces per year. So, okay, these are just some statistics here. Now, I would like to show you something before we do. I want to show you footages of our world. Okay, I'm having issue to flip back. So I'm live streaming using a VPN. So if there's any if there's any blockage or anything going bad, you please do let me know. Okay. Okay, so I would like you to see this. This is an old footage of the 80. A moment, Okay, here. So these are footages around the world, not more than, let's say, 100 years ago or so, okay? Different parts of the world. So you see it's been colorized, it's been put into almost 60 frames per second. The original film was not that clear. but we can see how it used to happen. So just look at the way that the men are dressed. Everyone is nicely dressed, fine clothing, gentlemen like coat, hat. Okay, and the women, look at the women. There's one woman in the back there. They're all dressed with long dresses. So they're all nicely dressed. There's no exhibiting any part of the body. They have hats. Here, you see all the ladies, how they're walking together with their hats, their purses. They walk together. They talk together. They're not intermingled with men. And this looks like Europe, It could be England. So the ladies are walking together. Now, I believe maybe they're finishing work or something. I'm not so sure. But so just look how there was some respect. There was some know-how-to, some good behavior. So people will never dare to go out not nicely dressed. Going out means we have to wear coat, pants, nice clothes, clean, some haute cologne. They would put perfume in this way. So this is only 100 to 120 or 50 years ago, 100 to 150 years ago. So how much the world has declined, that this used to be the scene, the daily scene of gentlemen and ladies. And how the world is now. You see all these boys, even the boys, according to their means, their parents would dress them nicely, make sure that their shirt is stuck into their pants, their hat is nicely clean, and so on. So Kali Yuga has taken a very, very strong boost in the past, let's say, 50, 60, 70 years, like that. One of the main dominoes of why this happened is due to this falsity of equalization of sex. So giving freedom to women to intermingle with men. And that domino fell because of men becoming irreligious. Because man gave up religion, they did not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. And they became more and more lusty. Religion, marriage means religious. There's no meaning to marriage if there's no religion. Marriage is meant to advance in the religious principles with the wife and economic development and so on. The wife becomes an assistant to the man to advance in the four aspects of life. So religion, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately liberation. Here, this is Japan. So Manu Samhita states that if women become independent, we have to suffer, because Manu Samhita are the laws given by God. So if we transgress that, we must suffer. Anything that we transgress, laws given by God, we have to suffer. So Manu Samhita states that women are not to be given independence, and this is what is happening now. And Srila Prabhupada said independence for women means that they become like prostitutes trying to capture some men. What have these social media become? If you install Instagram or TikTok or any of that, and you just go like, I don't know how it works, I don't have any of both, but if you like explore, you can go see some of the users. What are women doing? Simply thinking on how to attract men by showing their body more and more. They are, there are so many different, there's these challenges I got aware of. Oh, now the girl has to be showing a part of her high breast here. And the young girls, they are very much into that because they know that men will be attracted to me. So this subservient attitude of women to men cannot be stopped. It is not possible. Women are subservient to men. What is service? Service means I'm trying to please your senses. Just like if I'm giving you a massage, I'm massaging your limbs and so on. I'm giving you service. You're feeling good. Your senses are satisfied, right? Just like they say master and dog, but the dog is passing stool and the master is picking up the stool. Who's the servant? So the man picking up the stool and then he's petting the dog. So I'm giving service to the dog, right? Or the children, giving service to the children, help them change their clothes, cook nice meals for them. Although we're the parents, we're servants. So to please one's senses is called service. And women have got this desire to be pleasing to men. Therefore, any young girls, 12, 13, 14-year-old, they will always take very much care of how they look when they go to school or when they go out and so on. They will be very much self-conscious about their appearance. Why? Because they want to be pleasing to men using their appearance. The way they speak, the way they laugh, the way they look. All these mascaras, these big companies that make makeups, they make billions of dollars yearly. It's not men who buy makeup, it's women. So women are very much self-conscious about their appearance. Why? Because they want to be pleasing to men. Sometimes they try to deny, no, I do it for myself. Well, if you were in a world only of women, why would you want to do that? So this is all artificial. So Vedic culture is not there to artificially try to attain liberation from our conditional state. No. Vedic culture accepts specific types of conditioning under the three modes of material nature and addresses that properly. So every complex is addressed, accepted and addressed. So the complex of inequality of the social structure, it is there. We cannot all be equal. So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. First class man, second class, third class, and fourth class. There is no such thing as trying to make a classless society, just like these communists are trying to do. No, everybody equal. How can we be equal? There's different natures. So this is addressed, you see. And how can men and women be equal when the physiology, the psychology are so different, so much different? So therefore, this is understood, this is addressed, and this is organized in a way that everybody can be satisfied. So now I would like to go to, let's go see, maybe Parvati first. Okay, now first we'll come here. Oops. So this is in a conversation, Srila Prabhupada with a reporter. Okay, so this is a conversation, 1975, July. So the women reporter is saying, but you say women are subordinate to men. Yes, that is also natural, because when the husband and wife are there, or the father and daughter is there, so the daughter is subordinate to the father and the wife is subordinate to the husband. What happens when women are not subordinate to men? Then there's disruption, social disruption. If the woman does not become subordinate to men, then there is social disruption. Therefore, in the Western countries, there are so many divorce cases, because the woman does not agree to become subordinate to men. That is the cause. So the cause of divorce, the main cause of divorce, is because women are not accepting their subordinate role. Now, of course, many might say, no, there's some low-class men and so on. This understanding of I have the right to judge a superior is wrong. It does not exist in Vedic culture, or if it is there, it is understood to be wrong. Judgment cannot come from a lower position to a higher position, just like we cannot judge our spiritual masters. We cannot judge the senior devotees who are more advanced than us. This is not our business to judge. So if we see faults or things like that, we should run away from this mentality of trying to correct or criticize superiors. And in this way, the whole social structure can hold. Just like a chain. Krishna is the original link, and then you have link, Brahma, in this way, and then you have disciples of disciples, and you have shiksha gurus, and then you have the grihastas, devotee that are there, and their wives and the children. In this way, even the animals. So they're all part of the social body, and they all must hang on tight to the former link. Subordinate means I have no independence. If I let go, I fall. That's it. That is the meaning. I rely on you for being sustained. Of course, that is, now women, they will say, no, I can live by myself and so on. And it's a fact. They can go work, they can get jobs and so on and this and that. But sustainment is not just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. No, this is animal sustainment. There are some female animals that sustain themselves too, like the cats, female cats. The husband comes, then she falls pregnant, but she's the one who takes care of the children, and the husband goes away. The male cat goes away. So to maintain only eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is material. But even in that aspect, women cannot maintain themselves. Why? Because they must become pregnant. Now, the very rascal leaders, they want to try to suck out as much taxes as possible. So why tax only men? If you let women become free and independent and go to work, we can tax women also. So we have to understand. So I beg all the Matajis to try to see how the leaders are trying to exploit you. Whereas when a woman is at home, undoubtedly it is hard work at home too to take care of the children, but at least she is happy. She's not disturbed. Going out and having to deal with so many people, and plus us devotees especially, allowing our wives to work. Now I know many Matajis are working. We all have our different circumstances and somehow or other, but we should understand still what is the standard of Vedic culture. We cannot re-implement everything right away. It's not possible. But within our Krishna consciousness movement, we should re-implement slowly by slowly what the standard was. Because if we do not show by example, if we don't implement these in our lives, then what difference are we from the karmis? We are reading these books, we are preaching to them, this and that, but what are we doing better? We have to show a practical way of life. That's why actually living for devotees means having a farm, sustaining on land and cows, working on the field, not to drive 20 miles away to go work in the city and risk dying every day going back and forth in a car crash. Not like that. Tilling the land, collecting. I see the farmers here around here. They don't work that hard. They wake up early. They do a 2-3 hours work in the morning, and maybe in the evening another 2 hours. So take 5 hours total. And they get their food. They grow their own food and so on. Of course, here they do cash crops sometimes. They grow a lot of rice and they'll sell. But the main thing is to grow our own food. City living means preaching, because people are in the city, so we have to preach in the city. Therefore, temples are there. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati say, you open the center in the busiest part of the busiest city. In this way, you can reach more people. But that's not the life that devotees are supposed to have. The life is supposed to be in the countryside. If everybody was a devotee, there would be no cities, right? It would all be a varnashram system of simple living and high thinking. So not only this aspect of varnashram dharma, that we should be self-sufficient and grow on crops and have cows, but also the aspects of women being submissive to the husband and not going out, on their own and so on, like that. So it's hard to re-implement so fast, because many of our women have been raised in a different manner. To think that they can also be businesswomen and so on. It's not that they're not capable. It is doable. But Krishna says it is far better to engage in one's occupational duty than to imitate another's duty. For destruction in one's work is better than acceptance of another's duty, Krishna says. So therefore, even if a woman is being her life is very miserable, but she stays in her social position, it is better than to break one's constitutional dharma. It is better, Krishna says, because after all, karma follows us, whether we go left or right. So to think that I am not happy with this husband, and I shall leave him, and then I'll be happy, is false ego. It is thinking that we're the doer of activities. No. Whatever is meant to happen to you will happen. Concerning this, maybe we can go see a few verses on this, on karma. There's nothing that you can do to evade your karma. It's not possible. To give you an example, there was where the temple used to be in Guangzhou. We were in front of a river. So in that river there were those ships, those medium-sized cargo ships, not the big one that go in the ocean, but those who can go in rivers. They can carry, let's say, maybe 50 containers. So whole day they're passing like that. Now most of these ships are owned by a family. It's actually a family business. To make such business you need a lot of money. To buy such a ship is very, very expensive. And just the gas, the oil that you have to put in the ship and so on, and the permit, is very, very expensive. Okay, so these people are much better to do than the normal class. In other words, they have a lot more money than the normal people. But what is their life? Every day they are in a stinky, noisy ship. Brrr, the engine of that ship is very noisy. And it's stinky because you're always on the water. Everything is always humid. There's moisture that, goes everywhere. And you're always in an unsteady position on the water. This is your life. So their life is this. You might have a lot of money, but you have to live on a stinky, noisy, shaking ship. So you cannot counteract material miseries by material arrangement. It's not possible. This is simply a display of false egoism. We can see here this verse. This is Canto 4, chapter 29, text 33. A man may carry a burden on his head, and when he feels it to be too heavy, he sometimes gives relief to his head by putting the burden on his shoulder. In this way, he tries to relieve himself of the burden. However, whatever process he devises to counteract the burden does nothing more than put the same burden from one place to another. So, the distress that you might be removing by some material arrangement, you are simply going to be putting it somewhere else. That's all. You cannot remove the distress completely. No, you have to suffer that. So, yes. So according to what we did in the past life, we have to suffer or enjoy in this life. You cannot escape that. It's not possible. So therefore this divorce mentality is bogus. It will not make the women more happy. Here, this is Canto 6, chapter 1, text 45. In proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, one must enjoy or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. So that's it. So whatever we have, we must enjoy or suffer. You cannot escape. You cannot escape material nature. Durga Devi has got 10 hands, Prabhupada said. You can fight with 2 hands, but she has got 10. 6.152, Bhagavatam. The foolish embodied living entity, inept at controlling his senses and mind, is forced to act according to the influence of the modes of material nature against his desires. He is like a silkworm that uses its own saliva to create a cocoon and then becomes entrapped in it, with no possibility of getting out. The living entity traps himself in a network of his own fruitive activities and then can find no way to release himself. Thus he is always bewildered and repeatedly he dies. So he, let me see, okay. Just like the silkworm, he is doing activity. What is it, this activity? He is doing a sort of nest, a cocoon, right, with his own endeavor. A silkworm, he uses his own saliva. So our own endeavor, our own work is creating a cocoon, and that cocoon is entrapping us. So it doesn't matter what action you do, divorce or this or that, you're simply creating more and more trap to do. Now, there's different levels of this trap. If one does vikarma, he must suffer more and more. And this divorce is vikarma. It is against Vedic injunction. That means that if we take to divorce, we will have to suffer in the next life. So there's no question of diminishing suffering, it is simply increasing it. Okay. So now we can go back here. Okay, we will go see chapter 4, text, as Canto 4, text 4. Canto 4, chapter 4. Okay, so this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 4. Let me do like this. So Sati quits her body. So I believe you know this story, Sati Devi. So she wanted to go to her father, Maharaj Daksha, had organized a sacrifice, and she wanted to go because she wanted to see her mother, her sisters, and so on. But Lord Shiva was not very happy with that, and due to the offense of her father to her husband, she actually left her body. She could not tolerate. So this is when you can see she's beautifully decorated with gold and all, and Lord Shiva is instructing her. So he's telling her, you should not go. Your husband, your father is very much envious of me, and if you go there, there will be all inauspiciousness. But then she saw all the damsels flying in the sky in their with their demigod husband going to the sacrifice of her father, so her heart was burning with desire to go and see her relatives. But this is what happened in the end. So she immolated herself. She was a great yogi, and she, basically burned her body in front of her father, who insulted Lord Shiva. So this is what happened here. So maybe we can go see a few verses in the chapter before that. Yeah, so this is it, talk between Lord Shiva and Sati. So, yeah, we can see how Sati Devi was very much materially agitated. She wanted to go. So she's saying here, this is 4:3, text 5 to 7. So the chaste lady Sati, the daughter of Daksha, heard the heavenly denizens flying in their sky, conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions the beautiful wives of the heavenly denizens, their eyes were very beautifully glittering, were near her residence and were going to the sacrifice, dressed in fine clothing and ornamented with earrings and necklaces with lockets, she approached her husband, the master of the Bhutas, in great anxiety and spoke as follows. So we can see that women are naturally materially inclined. They like very much beautiful saris, beautiful gold, ornaments, and all these things. So Vedic culture understands this need of women, and it is advised that men do provide these things for women, so that they do not feel disturbance of this lust for jewelries and makeup and so on, and thus not be able to focus on devotional service. So when one has got a comfortable position, then he's satisfied, he can proceed onward. So this is why women have to be nicely dressed. So Prabhupada says here, each woman was accompanied by her husband. Thus they looked so beautiful that Sati Dakshayani was impelled to dress similarly and go to the sacrifice with her husband. That is the natural inclination of women. So this cannot be renounced. Women want to be nicely dressed, and therefore in our festivals we encourage women to wear beautiful saris, wear their gold and all. But this desire is purified because it is made for Krishna. Prabhupada said Krishna does not like ugly gopis. So our women should be beautiful. They should be dressed nicely in saris and beautiful ornaments and so on. Like this, everything becomes very nice and auspicious during festivals. Sati said, "My dear Lord Shiva, your father-in-law is now executing great sacrifices, and all the demigods, having been invited by him, are going there. If you desire, we may also go." Now you see how she is nicely proposing her desire. So our women in Krishna consciousness should learn from such exalted women how she's showing her desire. She's not saying, "I want to go." If you desire, we may also go. Sati knew the tension between her father and her husband, but still she expressed to her husband, Lord Shiva, that since such sacrifices were going on, I think maybe I could increase. Sorry, I'm seeing this just now that it's not that big. Yeah, that since such sacrifice were going on at her father's house, and so many demigods were going, she also desired to go. But she could not express her willingness directly, and so she told her husband that if he desired to go, then she could also accompany him. In other words, she submitted her desire very politely to her husband. So that is a very important way that a woman, a wife, should know how to speak to the husband, nicely, softly, politely. She should not unnecessarily try to agitate the household by, intonations, harsh words, harsh speech. No. I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. So, obviously, a woman has got attachment for two families. So, a man has got attachment to one family, his own family, because a man does not have strong attachment for the parents generally. When he leaves home, he doesn't remain attached to father and mother. He has his own family now, he has his own wife and children and so on. But women stay attached to their father's family. What is my mother doing? What are my sisters doing? They keep in touch, they send messages and so on and Whereas men are more detached from their own, father family. So women have got this attachment for both. This is also exhibited in the prayer of Srimati Kunti Devi. Kunti Devi, who prayed to Krishna to sever her attachment to the Vrishni and to the Pandavas. So both. Vrishni, because she's from the Vrishni dynasty, sister of Vasudeva, aunt of Krishna, and Pandavas, her husband family, her 5 sons. So she prayed that please sever my attachment to both of these, because she was bewildered. She knew that all this is going on, this Kurukshetra war is going on, and I'm bewildered. I'm taking side, My Pandavas are my son, and so on. And so she was, she understood her bewildered condition. And so she wanted to sever that attachment. She prayed to the Lord. So both families in this way. So Sati Devi, same thing. Attached to Lord Shiva and her children, Lord Ganesh, Kartikeya. This is after when she took another body, another form. This is before, I believe. She was known as Sati, Then later on, I believe she became known as Parvati. So, if I'm not mistaken, maybe you can put in the comment. So then, she sees her sisters, her mother, I want to go. Dear husband, please allow me to go. Where was I? Sorry. Okay. Yes. So we continue. Yeah. My sisters, my mother's sisters, and their husbands, and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of the sacrifice by the great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I am very much anxious to go. So she had some problem with her father because she knew that he doesn't like my husband. But she didn't have any problem with her mother and sisters. Thus she was very anxious to go to her father's house, particularly because on that occasion her sisters and their husbands and her mother's sisters would be there. As is natural for a woman, she wanted to dress equally to her other sisters and also be accompanied by her husband. She did not, of course, want to go alone. So she didn't want to go alone. She wanted her husband to go with her. to bring her there. This manifested cosmos is a wonderful creation of the interaction of the three material modes, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. This truth is fully known to you. Yet I am but a poor woman, and, as you know, I am not conversant with the truth. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more. So she understands that the exalted position of Lord Shiva. She knows how exalted my husband is. He's not interested in all these things. Just like we've read a verse, I want to wear the ornaments that my father has given me. This is not given by Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is detached from such worldly dealings. He's not very much interested in doing this. So these ornaments are given to her by her husband. That is the system. When the daughter gets married, as much as possible, the father should give golden ornaments, saris, in this way. So she said it. Yes, this is my nature. I am a woman. I am attached to material world. What can I do? So this is accepted by Sati Devi, and this is her greatness, that she's not trying to artificially become renounced. No, I do not need this sense gratification. I'm completely self-realized and so on. I can become guru. All of this is a puffed up thing. If Sati Devi is like that, what is the chance of a normal woman to be renounced? How is it possible? It's not possible. This is within woman nature. Sati Devi was like this. I mean to say, the wife of Kapila's mother, Devotee, she wanted to enjoy, right? Her husband, she wanted to bring me, in the universe, I want to see all the planets, the demigods, and so on. She wanted to enjoy. She knew the ability of her husband. So she also, even though she had such a great husband, actually, Kashyapa Muni told her, now I'm self-realized. I can also instruct you so that you become self-realized. He said like that. And she hesitated. She said, no, first of all, I want to enjoy. That was her, and then husband, all right, you want to enjoy? He created, space, a house that could go throughout the universe, and in this way. And even in sexual intercourse, we learn from the Bhagavatam that he multiplied himself, so that she can taste sex pleasure as much as possible. And Prabhupada says that women have got 8 or 9 times more lust than men. Otherwise, there was no need for him to expand in 9 forms. So we should understand which type of conditioning under the 3 modes we have, and we should address these things properly. No artificial renunciation. So Sati wanted to go, and she says, yes, I'm a poor woman. Poor means material concept of life. That is poor, to think that I'm this body. So it is much easier for men to become freed from this conception of bodily existence than for women. Women are naturally attractive. If you see the body of women, how it is built, there's so many curves and everything. It is meant to be looked at. They're called the fair sex. They are meant to be enjoyed by looking at them. So they're always self-conscious of that how do I appear now? Who is looking at me now? Is it okay? Am I dressed properly? How is my hair? How do I walk? How do I talk? So there's always this anxiety of behaving properly and being beautiful. So how can you become freed from the bodily concept in this way? It's so hard. Therefore, it is recommended that every woman should be married, so that by the strength of her husband, she also can be raised to the mode of goodness. On her own, to come to the mode of goodness is, I do not know. I haven't seen anywhere in Prabhupada books that Prabhupada says it is possible, unless she's empowered, unless she's, like, of course, the Gopis and so on. But Gopis are transcendental, and even, they're not much higher than the mode of goodness, but even them, we see that the womanly nature is not gone. So there's no way that we can become freed from the nature that we have acquired artificially. It's not possible. The Gopis, they have all the same qualities that women in the material world have, but all these qualities are used in Krishna's service. So where in the whole existence, whether it be in the spiritual world, in the demigod world with Sati, or in our world, where is it that a woman can be a man, can give up her womanly qualities and become equal to man? It's not possible. So therefore, all these women that are, fighting, boxing, racing on horses and this, and it's all artificial. It is not real. They are putting on a show. They are motivated. They do this with a purpose. It's not situated, like, my point is that it's an act. It's not real. Prabhupada said it's artificial. Okay. Okay, so, and who is she? Dakshayani, Sati. She is the external energy of the Lord. How powerful she is, and she presents herself as a poor woman. So we should learn. Humility is very good in spiritual advancement. This is the sign. Although she says there's a poor woman and we might think, oh, she's low. No, this is the sign of how advanced she is. O never born, O blue-throated one, not only my relatives, but also other women dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments are going there with their husbands and friends. Just see how their flocks of white airplanes have made the entire sky very beautiful. We can just imagine the scene on higher planetary systems, demigods flying in the sky, how beautiful it must be. So this material world, there is sense of enjoyment, thousands and thousands and thousands of times greater than on this earthly planet. Can you imagine how beautiful it must be? How to not become agitated for sense gratification when you see that. Okay. So here, yeah. So she's addressing Lord Shiva because she knows how magnanimous he is. Nilakanta, right? Blue-throated. When the ocean was churned by the demigods and the demons, the churning at first produced poison. So because the poisonous ocean might have affected others who were not so advanced, Lord Shiva drank all the ocean water. In other words, he could drink such a great amount of poison for others' benefit. And now, since his wife was personally requesting him to go to her father's house, even if he did not wish to give that permission, he should do so out of his great kindness. So she's appealing to the greatness of her husband. O best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there's no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation. So this is a fact, Sometimes even my wife, sometimes she sees some festivals that are happening in her father's house. Like here in Chinese New Year, it's a big thing, Chinese New Year. So they will always share pictures and so on. So she sees these things and she becomes disturbed. I can see it, Oh, I wish I could see my father, my relatives, my sisters. She's got 2 sisters, 2 brothers. So it's there in her nature. So sometimes I do allow her, yes, when we go to the temple, then I drive her to see her parents. Or sometimes, just like tomorrow, she will be coming here with her mother and her 2 brothers and one of her brother's wife. So they'll spend some time here. When they come here, I prefer, because we do arti and everything, the deities are there. So they get purified, they eat prasadam, So I don't tell her, no material attachment, cut off all, how she will handle, how she will manage. Not possible. So we need to understand that, and we need to reciprocate accordingly, but we need to gauge. This is the husband's duty. Although he lets this material inclination go on with his wife, at the same time he refrains a little bit. He breaks here and there, Okay, now this is too much. No, not like this, not like that. Okay, don't. So you need to judge, because we need to help her, the wife. She's in the mode of passion, and therefore, if she's let loose, the mode of passion just exponentially. So therefore, the husband in the mode of goodness must control the wife so that she can also understand. No, this is the right path. This is the right path. Okay. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. Half of the body. This is a Vedic conception that when we get married, we are one body. The wife is half of the body of the husband. So as the husband treats his own self, he should treat his wife. He should not be harsh, lacking care, lacking emotions, being very, I'm spiritually advanced, I show no attachment for my wife. No, it's not like that. The duty of a husband have to be carried. Sometimes I was also a victim of that in the beginning I thought no attachment, no, cold-hearted towards my wife, and this is spiritual advancement. No, that is jnani. Jnani is trying to renounce, but renounce what? Is this woman mine? No, she's part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna has brought her to be my wife, so what am I renouncing? So the thing is to not be attached to the result. That is what we have to renounce. So the duty must be performed. So being a good husband, caring for the wife, instructing her, tolerating, her, because women like to discuss, right? They speak much more than men, so they want some discussion going on, so we must hear. Even though the husband might not be inclined to discuss, okay, let's talk, this and that. So tolerating the womanly nature, but not being attached to the result, meaning I'm doing all this and she, and she's not satisfied, or yeah, the material satisfaction will not come. It's not possible to be materially satisfied. It's through spiritual cultivation that the couple would become happy, not through material cultivation. So although the husband gives some material means for the wife here and there, he knows this is not going to make her happy ultimately. But at least it eases up the overwhelming desire for sense gratification, But we should be intelligent on how to do that. Just like, okay, my wife, she wants to travel together with me. Hey, let's not book a ticket to the other country and take the plane. And this is over-endeavoring. A walk in the park is sufficient. Women, they just want to see that the husband cares for them, that he's there for them. A little walk in the park, prepare some ice cream, bring some ice cream outside, eat an ice cream together, a little talk, discussing something, and in this way the mood is relaxed. And then discussing philosophy also, when the wife is willing to hear some philosophy, speaking about the philosophy, this is very nice. Having philosophical discussion between husband and wife is nice. She becomes because Shravanam Kirtanam, the husband also advances spiritually by instructing the wife. So in this way, right? Same thing with children. Children, they need to play, they need to do all these things. So let's not like buy the toy that costs $1,000. No, buy things that are simple and it's going to take them satisfied. This is why when we buy toys for our children, we should be smart also what to buy. Let's not buy things that's going to make them too passionate. Me personally, I don't buy any figurines like Spider-Man, Batman. I don't buy anything that's personal because I don't want him to mix up that Spider-Man is here, Krishna is here. Same thing. No, there's no personality in all of his toys, like bows, bow and arrows, some swords, trains, cars, these things. Okay, simple things, not the toy that has got 10,000 lights and makes noise whole day and night. Not things like that. Things that are easy to handle. Right? So, okay, that is a small side. Okay, so in this way, so Lord Shiva is replying, "My dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to a friend's house without being invited, and this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification, and thereby become angry towards him." So Lord Shiva is instructing here, yes, that's right, but if you go there, your husband is not going to be, your father is not going to be happy. So he's instructing why. Now we're not going to read these because the important to understand here is that the husband was not agreeable. He's saying, we should not go to a house if someone's going to look at you angry and so on. So Lord Shiva did not want. If one is hurt by arrows of an enemy, one is not as aggrieved as when cut by the unkind words of a relative. For such grief continues to rend one's heart day and night. Yes. If an enemy insults you, who cares? Yeah, he's a rascal. Maybe you feel angry for a couple of minutes. But if a relative insults you, that is a burning shaft in the heart. And this is also true for, especially when Sastra says, okay, this is a side note, side story that is related. Sastra says, if a subordinate speak harsh words or insults a higher up, it is the same as killing him. And where I remember this is in the Mahabharata. Arjuna had made vows, Kshatriyas, they make vows. So with his Gandiva, he had made one vow when he got this Gandiva, that his bow. Anyone who asks me to renounce my Gandiva, I will kill. That was the thing. And during the Mahabharata war, at one point, Yudhishthir Maharaj got wounded by Kṛṣṇa, and he was brought back to the camp. And Arjuna didn't see where Maharaj Yudhishthir was, and he wanted to fight with Kṛṣṇa, but Krishna told him, no, first you go see how Yudhishthir Maharaj is faring, and then we come and fight with Kṛṣṇa. So he went back to the camp. And when he got the camp, back to the camp, or Yudhishthir Maharaj thought, he's killed Kṛṣṇa. So, you're so great, you're a valuable warrior. And this way he praised him, you have killed him. Arjuna said, oh no, I just came to see how you were faring. So Yudhishthira Maharaj became upset. He said, what are you doing with your, what is the use of the Gandiva? Better you throw it away. So, perplexed. My older brother is telling me to throw away my Gandiva, but I swore to kill him, to kill any person who asked me to throw away my Gandiva. What to do? So he became perplexed. Then Krishna came and said, okay, then you insult him. He said, because you want to kill him, Shastra says, insulting a superior is as good as killing him. So you do that. So then he started to insult Yudhishthira Maharaj. He started to speak so harsh at him and so on. And after that, he felt like committing suicide. He said, how can I speak like that to my brother and this? And so Krishna was dealing so much, with so many vows and different emotions, and Krishna managed to fix the whole thing. So that's the point. So when a wife speaks harshly to the husband, this is like a shaft in the heart of the husband. There's nothing that can hurt the husband more than the wife speaking harsh words to him. This is really, because we see it. If someone else speaks some harsh words, don't care. But the wife, if she speaks so bad, you're like this, you're useless, and finish, Therefore, the husband will become distasteful of the relationship, and he'll show less and less care, and he'll become, I don't care for her, and so on. So it's very dangerous. Therefore, women should remain very, submissive. When there's argument, best thing is she does not reply. I've said in last session that if the husband is harsh, he says something, and if the wife remains quiet, the echo within the room is of his own harshness. This is what is left. And that plays in his mind, and he will understand. Because, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we're reading Prabhupada's books, so we know we should not become angry to our dependent and so on. So we'll feel bad that how have I spoken to my wife and she remained quiet, she's so chaste and I'm so puffed up. And so he will make up for the mistake. So that is actually winning for the wife. That is victory for her. To be able to change her husband's heart. Because men, by nature, they have got harder hearts. We don't feel moved by emotions as easily as women. But if the wife can, by her submissiveness and her gentleness and shyness and humility and service, change the hard heart of her husband into soft, that is victory. She has managed to change. But if she wants to change him by becoming on his level and talking back, that will never happen. A man will never agree to be subordinate to the wife. And if he actually becomes, then there's destruction of the family. Nothing good will come out of that. We've seen many devotee men being led by their wives. They're under the control of their wives, and nothing good has happened to them. We see where they are now. There's nothing good. And they become controlled, so they are being dragged down to the mode of passion. Okay, continue. Okay, so she's saying, you will be sorry when you go there, you'll be sorry that you're connected with me. Okay, he's saying that your father is in false ego, he envies, So these are very nice instructions. Lord Shiva is saying how he's always in devotional service to Lord Vasudeva. And here he's saying, therefore you should not see your father. Although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me, because of his envy, O most worshipful one, he has insulted me with cruel words, although I am innocent. So here he's telling you should not go. So instructions of a superior should be followed, even though we think it's wrong. And let's say it is wrong. By following the instructions, we are not wrong. Of course, when we are in Krishna consciousness, we start to transcend those mundane rules and regulation, but not that we should throw away the whole thing. For example, maybe our father is telling us don't chant Hare Krishna. So no, when it comes to going to Krishna, then we can forgo such lower material duties. Okay. If in spite of this instruction you decide to go, neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by your relative, this insult will immediately be equal to death. So he predicted. So why I'm reading all this? Because this is a little bit understanding how divorce occurs, that the wife does not follow the instruction of the husband. So she was very much, disturbed. She wants to go, but the husband is sitting like that. Sati felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house, and due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. She became very much upset, very much disturbed, And here, another meaning of the word apratipurusha is the personality who has no rival. Since Lord Shiva could not be persuaded to give her permission, Sati took shelter of a woman's last weapon, weeping, which forces a husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. Yes, so weeping should be the last resort of a wife, When the wife weeps, no, why? Then the husband, okay, what can I do? But in this situation, we can see that this was not good, actually. She should have followed. Thereafter, Sati left her husband. Okay, so we come to the divorce part. Of course, they were not divorced. She would never divorce her husband, but leaving, Therefore, Sati left her husband, Lord Shiva, who had given her half his body due to affection. Breathing very heavily because of anger and bereavement, she went to the house of her father. This less intelligent act was due to her being a weak woman. Now, why is this less intelligent and being a weak woman? Weak means materially attached. This is what we have said. This is the same type of weakness that Arjuna actually exhibited in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He said, I'm confused due to miserly weakness. Arjuna said it, due to miserly weakness. Means what? Means he became in the bodily concept. These are my relatives. This is my grandfather. What's going to happen? So, to come down to the bodily concept of life is a weakness. This is a sign of being less intelligent. And since women have got a hard time to go behind, what to speak of women, men have got a hard time already to pass above the three modes. But women have got a harder time to come beyond the bodily concept. And therefore, due to her womanly weakness, due to being too attached to the father, she disobeyed her husband. So this is a good instruction for all our Matajis. We should be careful about your father's house. Meaning husbands is prioritized, not father. Husband should be listened. So if there's a conflict between husband and father, a husband should be followed. So here's the purport. According to Vedic conception of family life, the husband gives half his body to his wife, and the wife gives half of her body to her husband. In other words, a husband without a wife or a wife without a husband is incomplete. Vedic marital relationship existed between Lord Shiva and Sati, but sometimes due to weakness, a woman becomes very much attracted by the members of her father's house, and this happened to Sati. So to become too attached to the father's house is not very good for women. Already the goal of life is to become detached materially. If we are more attached also to the father's house which we have left, it's not so good, That can create disturbance between husband and wife, we can see now. There's good instruction here. In this verse, it is specifically mentioned that she wanted to leave such a great husband as Shiva because of her womanly weakness. In other words, womanly weakness exists even in the relationship between husband and wife. Generally, and what to speak, which husband and wife? We're speaking of Lord Shiva and Sati. So, generally, separation between husband and wife is due to womanly behavior. Divorce takes place due to womanly weakness. So here Prabhupada is telling us the cause of divorce. The main cause of divorce generally is because of the weakness of the... Of course, there are some men who will mistreat their wives and so on. But we have shown, even though the wife is being mistreated by the husband, it doesn't mean that if she leaves such husband... Now, this is a very heavy blow on modern day understanding, and understand that. Let's say, okay, let's go directly to the point. If her husband beats the wife, so if he's violent towards the wife, should she leave him? That is very hard. This is how strict adherence to duty is there in Varnashram Dharma. Arjuna had to kill his grandfather. He had to kill his cousins. How strong we have to be duty-minded. This is what Krishna wants. He wants us to be really, really strong to carry out our duties. So, of course, we're not going to be judging a wife who leaves her husband who is beating. It's not that we want to add insult to injury. But if we strictly speak Vedic culture, a wife should not leave. She should not leave. She will not become more happy because she leaves. Repercussions, we have seen it. The pain that she's supposed to go through is going to come from the left instead. Because what is this suffering that she's going through? It is her own self. She has brought that upon herself by beating her wife in her past life as a husband. What goes around comes around. As you sow, so shall you reap. Every sufferings and pleasure that we get is because of our own actions. And people around us, and circumstances, adhyatmika, adhibautika, adhidaivika, different sufferings coming from other living entities, from body and mind, for natural disturbances, demigods. These are only tools to bring about our own karma. So when I was young, my father was a good father. He tried to make me Krishna conscious the best he was. But at time, he was a little violent. He was hitting me. So as I grew, I could not understand. I was very bewildered when this would happen as a child. This is it's very bad actually to use violence. Prabhupada said we should not use strength on children. But through all he went through in his life, I forgive him. And I understand now that this is because I beat my son in my past life. I was unkind to my boy in my past life. I beat him, and therefore I had to be beaten. You see? So the wife who is being physically abused by the husband is trying to adjust this material inebriety by another material means. And that material means is giving up of one's own duty, which is not pleasing to Krishna, which means that her wife in her next life will have to leave her. You see, it's a bubble, the cocoon. You're doing something, but another net is blocking you. You're trying to get out here, and another net is going. So you keep doing, but it's only more layers and more layers and more layers. Therefore, to lower the burden of these layers, to remove this karmic reaction, we have to adhere to Varnashram. Adhere to the duty. Krishna is pleased when we adhere to such duty. So when the wife is capable of tolerating even violence at home, Krishna will be very pleased with us, a woman, because she's showing by example. She contributes so much to keeping society in order, because the social body must stay in order so that everything be more peaceful and there's less agitation due to sins, and in this way it's more easy to become Krishna conscious. Divorce takes place due to womanly weakness. The best course for a woman is to abide by the orders of her husband. That makes family life very peaceful. Sometimes there may be misunderstanding between husband and wife, as found even in such an elevated family relationship as that of Sati and Lord Shiva. This is a very important instruction, is that we should not think utopian. Me and my wife will never argue. We'll never have misunderstanding. No, that will be there. But the thing is that the argument should not be carried out. If the wife remains silent, the argument will vanish very fast. So, even in such an elevated family, there is misunderstanding sometimes between husband and wife. So it is natural, these things will occur. But a wife should not leave her husband's protection because of such misunderstanding. If she does so, it is understood to be due to her womanly weakness. Oh, I'm angry at my husband, let me just take my car and this and that. That's why I don't allow my wife to drive our car. I know she has got a driver license. She got it before I was married to her. I don't allow her to drive the car because it means what? Means if we fight one day, who knows? You just take the keys and go? No way. So in this way you don't learn, you don't drive. So I'm restricting, I'm restricting the independence because I know it can happen. These things can happen. Big fight. I got the key. I'm going away. I'm going to the other city and this with the children. No. So the wife should not do that. I'm upset. Let me go away to my father's house. No. She should remain. Okay. Now, okay, so that's it. Now, so we see Srila Prabhupada is speaking that divorce occurs due to womanly weakness. Let me see here. Okay, 3:14:19. So Srimad Bhagavatam 3:14:19. What is this? Okay. O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body, because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife. So, a wife is the best helper for the husband. It is said that without a wife, a man is incomplete. He cannot do the dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So, religious principles, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately liberation. So, wife is there as an assistant to men. So that is the general for most men. Some men are capable of remaining nashtika brahmachari. Okay. Yeah. So by the Vedic injunction, the wife is accepted as the better half of a man's body because she's supposed to be responsible for discharging half of the duties of the husband. A family man has the responsibility to perform 5 kinds of sacrifices called pancha yajna in order to get relief from all kinds of unavoidable sinful reaction incurred in the course of his affairs. When a man becomes qualitatively like the cats and dogs, he forgets his duties in cultivating spiritual values, and thus he accepts his wife as a sense gratificatory agency. So you see, when a man becomes qualitatively like the cats and dogs, so actually why women have degraded, it is first of all because men have degraded. Men have forgotten their religious duties, and when you remove religion from marriage, what is left? Sex, that's all. He accepts his wife as a sense of sense gratificatory agency. That's all. I want to have sex with my wife. I like sex, so I have a wife. Sex is easily available. This is Kali Yoga. And it is predicted in Bhagavatam that marriage will mean sex. That's all. And they shamelessly say it. Yes, if there was no sex in our relationship, it wouldn't work. They say it. When the wife is accepted as a sense gratificatory agency, personal beauty is the main consideration. This is another thing. Why now? Everything is, there was not this, even if you go back like 15, 20 years ago, this bodybuilding. Like now all young men are going to the gym almost, building big muscles, right? Always taking care. Why? This lust has increased so much. The mode of passion has never been to the point that it is now. Passion and ignorance has never been higher than it is now in this 4 yogas, in this Chatur Yuga period. It's never been. It's at the highest, and therefore you see all girls wearing less and less and less. A few days ago I went to Hong Kong to buy a new camera, which I'm filming with now, more professional camera. And Hong Kong is much more degraded than mainland China in the sense of its culture having been lost. Women there are much more westernized than China. In China is still more traditional. So I was just keeping Prabhupada, bhajans and lectures in my ears, and because I had to go through the downtown, and so many girls, hundreds, all wearing less and less one than the other. So I was amidst all this, I was focusing, okay, buy the camera, I need the camera for service to Krishna, do it. I was focused, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I had to do that, because otherwise if I just wanted to walk peacefully, forget it, everywhere. So much agitation is there. Why this is so? Because now women understand that man will like me because I'm pretty or sexy, that's all. But this conception was not there before. Although, of course, women did not want to be ugly before, it's not that. But the understanding that women are helping me to advance in dharma, artha, karma, moksha was there. Dharma, religion, because according to religious principles, you have to perform a sacrifice with your wife. So, as she is beside you during the Vedic ritual, then, let me see. Okay, yes. As she's beside you, she has to perform also. So we see like great grihasta like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Draupadi was beside him, to complete the sacrifice. Prithu Maharaj, Archie, I believe, his wife's name is Archie Devi. So in this way, Brahma, Saraswati. So great women accompany great men, and they help them advance in all aspects of life. Okay. But you remove this religious aspect, then what is woman? What is the use? What is she going to do? Then she's there for sex. And because with sex there's inevitably some children, then children are like, okay, we'll accept. This is how they beget children nowadays. Just like my wife, she spoke to her cousin. Yeah, she told her, so are you planning to get a third baby? So her cousin said, planning, what is this planning? Who can control when to get baby? So my wife is like, oh, yeah, it's true. This is how they are. They just have sex and they try to not have baby by means of contraceptions, pills, preservatives, all these things. But sometimes, because after all, you're not in control. If you have to get a child in this life, you will get a child, whatever you do. So then, oh, I'm pregnant. Do we keep it? Then that's the thing. Do we keep it? When my wife was pregnant of my son, I could not believe what the doctor said. We went to the hospital, and the doctor said, "Yabuya, do you want it?" That's one of the first things she said. I was aghast, Here is, the child. We chanted 50 rounds. We have tried, a couple of times chanting 50 rounds each time. We've done, the best as we could to get a beautiful devotee child, and this doctor is telling me, "Do you want to kill it?" My jaw just dropped. This is not what the doctors do. Therefore, all these gynecologists, they're going to hell, all of them, because they have to perform all this baby killing business. So this is as simply as a means of sense gratification. That's all. I'm not saying all people are like that. Still, some people, there's some Christians out there, some Hindus. Of course, Hindus are very traditional. Those who are very strict family, not modern day so-called Hindutva wannabe, who anyway are just puffed up. But there are some like Muslims also. So you can see that because they have got some religious principles in their lives, they know that wife is not just there for sense gratification. Okay. So when the wife is accepted as a sense gratificatory agency, personal beauty is the main consideration. And as soon as there is a break in personal sense gratification, there's disruption or divorce. You see? So sex is not good anymore, or my husband is sick, he cannot satisfy me, I'm going to leave him, And therefore you see, these young girls, although they have got boyfriends or even, young mothers, young husband, they're looking left and right. You can see they're looking at other men. Is this other man looking at me in this way? Because there was no understanding of being chaste from a very young age. So we have discussed this in the previous session, that before puberty, before lust emerges in the body of the woman, if she's married to a man, all these lusty thoughts, which will come, we cannot avoid that. These lusty thoughts will be only on one man. I wish he held my hand. I wish he kissed me. All these things will be one man only. And there will be no way that she will even dare to dream about being with another man. But when women, they get married, when they're 30, 40, of course in our devotee society it's occurring. But we can see that even when that happens, if the woman has been with another man before, it is harder for her to be chaste. All these principles that we're discussing now will be tougher for such a woman to accept. Whereas when she's married when she's very young, all of this will flow very naturally. But when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, there is no consideration of personal beauty or the disruption of so-called love. In the material world, there is no question of love. Marriage is actually a duty performed in mutual cooperation as directed in the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. Therefore, marriage is essential in order to avoid the life of cats and dogs who are not meant for spiritual enlightenment. Yes, I can say that I would not have advanced spiritually as I did without my wife. And when I've been able, because I was disturbed, lust was there, so I needed to perform devotional service in an environment where those desires would be fulfilled some way or other. And in this way, in that environment, you become purified. And this aspect of marriage life, this sex, diminishes, and at one point you don't need it anymore. You can be happy with your wife without sex. And it's possible. And that should be the goal, to give up sex completely. Now I will touch on this one aspect, which is very important for women. Okay, one of the reasons why my parents divorced is this. In previous session, I might have told you that my mother had been sexually abused in her life. Okay, so naturally she had this distance concerning sex life. She was very much, because it's understandable, definitely. So when my father was feeling agitated, she would not satisfy him, and that is wrong, because that is one of the duty of the wife. The wife is there, one of the duty of the wife is this, is that when the husband is agitated, at least the husband falls down at home. Because sex life that is not there for begetting children is sinful. But because it is within marriage, there's no disruption of the social body, so it is less sinful, because your reaction, what you're doing, is less bad. Whereas when you're corrupting a poor virgin, that is extremely sinful. Virgins are a pure element of society. In Vedic culture, when a king wakes up, he has to be seeing auspicious item. This is how, just see how exalted a culture it is. When a king wakes up, he has to be seeing auspicious item. Not that, the president wakes up and then someone, you got a call from the other end, you got to do this and that, and the coffee and cigarette. No. When the king wakes up, first of all, there's the prayers, the reciters, they will sing the king's glory. And the king wakes up, he hears, yes, you've killed 10,000 men that day, you've conquered, you've got, you kidnapped 10 wives, and the king wakes up, he's like, oh yeah, power. Because the king is in the mode of, passion, he has to be strong. Yes, I'm the best, Kshatriya spirit. So he wakes up, he hears that, and one of the things he has to see are virgins, maidens, beautiful young servants that are dressed nicely in gold and saris, and they're all virgins. It's auspicious. It's an auspicious aspect of society because they're pure. Shastra says that if a wife leaves her, if a woman leaves her body virgin, she goes to heaven. Just by not having indulged in sex in her whole life, she goes to heaven. Just for that. So how important virginity is. So if a man falls down outside and disrupts and corrupts a poor virgin, his sin is so great. Whereas if he falls down at home and he indulges for pleasure only, the wife protects him. He falls down at home. It's not such a great fall down. And that will not, be taken too seriously by the Lord. Because the Lord, after all, he knows our background. He knows where we're coming from. And the husband will be able, although it will be disturbing, because you cannot light fire by pouring water on it. And this sex life is the opposite. Lust, sex, and spiritual life are going diametrically opposite. But if it happens, at least it happens with the wife. So this is one of the protection that the wife offers to the husband. Chanaka Pandit said a wife should serve the husband as a mother in the morning, as a sister during the day, and as a prostitute at night. So the meaning is this. Morning time, the wife should be very much attentive to the husband. What does he need? Just like a child, he has to do this. Just like a child doesn't have to do things on his own. The mother thinks about everything. Similarly, a good wife should treat the husband like that in the morning. Okay, he needs that. He needs that. His clothes are here. The dhoti prepared, like that. Sister during the day. Relationship between brother and sister is different. There's more laughter, there's more, easy going. The relationship is more relaxed, is less formal. So sister during the day, she should be in this way, dealing with him. And prostitute at 9 doesn't simply mean sex. Prostitute in in Vedic culture, the prostitute class, they were there and they were recognized, and they were very important because the low-class men would not corrupt good girls. They would go to the prostitute. So if a man was not satisfied at home, he would go and see prostitutes, and in this way the class was there, and there was no tinging of these sins into the good girls, the kulastri, the family girls. So prostitute was not simply sex. There were prostitute houses where the men would go and they would receive all sorts of service from the women. And of course sex was there. So the point is this, is at 9 time the wife should be ready to render all sorts of service. So this is something that disrupt my parents' marriage. Is that my father at time needed that, and my mother could not, was not, so where does the lust becomes released? You see, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the regulated householder sacrificed the object of the senses within the senses. What does that mean? That means that through regulative principles, a householder can have sense gratification. Not just sex, other things too. So these regulative principles are like a bit like someone who's trying to give up smoking cigarettes, but he uses patches. So patches is bad. You don't give patches to someone who don't smoke cigarettes because it's nicotine. You'll make him addicted, But for someone who's trying to give up cigarettes, these patches at least give him a small dose. That slowly he's being satisfied. Okay, I feel the nicotine in the body, in the blood, and so on, And in this way, he's capable of giving it up. So Grihastha ashram is meant for that, to slowly give up the desire for sense gratification, but by giving little doses here and there. So this is one of the reasons why my father also was very much agitated, and there was some violence at times in the couple. And another thing is that my mother, having been from her childhood rebellious against her father wanted to control my mother, but she left home when she was 18 years old. So she was rebellious against the father, so she had this mentality of being rebellious to men. So that was also there. Of course, as I said, I'm not blaming any of them, but that was also there with my father, that she would reply. And I could see that my father would speak and she would reply, and she'd speak and she would reply, and she would argue in this way. So sometimes my father, not knowing how to control her, would use other means. Nothing intense, but I've seen things in my childhood, and because I was seeing these things, I was thinking my father is wrong, my mother is right. A boy is always more attached to the mother. But as I grew up, I understood there's wrongs on both sides. Not that the husband should hit the wife. No, that is not according to Shastra. When Prithu Maharaj was about to chastise Mother Earth said that there's a verse like this, that a man should never hurt a woman. So physically speaking. But in lower class families, we see that the man, when he doesn't know how to tame the wife, he will use force. Anyway, but that is not definitely not. Okay, now where shall we go? Yes, so we'll speak here. We'll show some letters of Srila Prabhupada speaking about divorce. So if you're putting comments, I don't look at comment section when I give classes. I don't like that, because this is not the system. So actually the comment section here, I'm hiding it. I don't want to be disturbed. Because just like a class in a temple, you're giving class and someone says something, someone says something. This is not the system. Prabhupada says questions at the end. So if you want to put comment, you can, if you want, so that you don't forget the question, you can put it in the comment section, but I'm not looking. I will look later. Okay. Can you see this? Yes. So initiation lecture and Bhagavan Dasa's marriage ceremony. So this is a marriage ceremony. This is 1969. Prabhupada was getting all of his disciples married. This is a little bit late, but in the early 66, boyfriends and girlfriends were coming together to join the movement, right? So Prabhupada would immediately get them married. There was no No staying together as boyfriend, girlfriend, no. So he speaks of divorce, yes. Okay, that I believe is too small. Sorry, let's just do something here. Does this work? Okay. How to do this? What am I doing? Sorry, all this. How come it doesn't? Very small like this. Why doesn't it become bigger? Okay, that's not nice. Okay, sorry. So that's as big as I can put. Is this, which is quite small. I'll be reading. So this marriage ceremony is not for sense gratification. We should always remember, it is helping one another. The husband will help the wife will help the husband, so that both of them become advanced in Krishna consciousness and make their human life perfect. So there's no question of divorce. There's no question of separation. Because divorce, separation, these are meant for sense gratification. As soon as there's some lack of sense gratification, there's immediately divorce or separation. No. Here, there is no such question. So this new bride and bridegroom should always remember that in any condition of life, they should remain together. And that will be possible if they concentrate their ideas to Krishna consciousness. Then it will be possible. That is an important point here. We have to be focused on serving Krishna, advancing spiritually. That is the aim, because we cannot be happy materially in married life. Forget it. Marriage life without Krishna is hell. Hell, and that's it. That's all. Nothing else. But marriage life with Krishna, yes, it can be nice, provided both husband and wife are strong. Strong for wife means being subservient to the husband, and strong for the husband means being surrendered to the spiritual master. Otherwise, Maya will attack in so many ways and cause disruption. So many ways. So we are taking part in this marriage ceremony not like ordinary marriage. It is for making progress in Krishna consciousness. You should always remember that this marriage has no separation, no divorce, lifetime. The husband will help the wife will help. There are so many things, duties of the wife. There are so many things, duty of the husband. And if they're properly executed, if they properly execute their respective duties and engage themselves simply in Krishna consciousness, the life will be very happy. And not only in this life, next life also. So take this opportunity. Be happy. I want to see. Sarve sukhena bhavantu. That is the Vedic injunction. Let everyone be happy. Sarve sukhena bhavantu. Let everyone be happy. And without being happy, nobody can execute Krishna consciousness. So this is an important point, is that without being happy, without being peaceful, having a nice situation, how you can progress spiritually? Not possible. Just like a man who wants to be married, he always think of that. I need a wife, I need a wife, I need a wife. Same thing, the wife, she wants a husband. I need a husband, I need a husband. So she cannot progress because that has not been addressed yet, So, but in Prabhupada time, and even in now, we see that there's still divorces in devotee families. And as we have seen, it is mainly due to women weakness, because women want to also speak out, they want to be equal. So Prabhupada was not pleased with that. At one point he even said, what is this? I'm getting you all married and there's so many divorces. What is happening, So of course he was not putting all the blame on the women. Sometimes I remember a letter, Prabhupada said that, I have seen your wife, and how come you're not taking care of her? So probably she was neglected in some way. So Prabhupada did not want some cheap husband that, are not going to be taking care of the wife. No, husband must be sure that the wife has everything that she needs. This is important. So, not that it's a one-way street. The wife does everything, serves the husband, and the husband just, he doesn't care. No. The husband has to be nice. He has to care for the wife, protect her. A mood of protection and guidance, spiritual protection, material protection. This is important. Okay, now we will come to this aspect of being submissive. We'll do this first, and then we'll come to Lord Krishna's instruction, which I mentioned in the beginning. So this is a very instructing verse, and Prabhupada explains everything, this whole idea of women liberation. How, okay. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 3, Text 10. Chavana Muni was very irritable, but since Sukanya had gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully, according to his mood, knowing his mind. She performed service to him without being bewildered. Just see. So Chavana Muni was a great Muni. We learn from Shastra that those who do austerity have a very hard heart. They're hard-hearted. The more one does heavy, strong tapasya, he feels practically no emotions. So he was very irritable because you're very proud, very strong. How powerful were the Munis before? Just like we know, what is his name? The Muni who always curses people. Ambarish Maharaj, right? He was, somehow I'm forgetting. Durvasa. Yeah, Durvasa Muni. He's also very much irritable. But Sukanya was his wife. So Chavana Muni was old. Old, irritable husband. Worst thing, a wife could pray for. But Sukanya was very beautiful and young. So she dealt with him carefully, according to his mood. So wife, this is an important secret. The wife should know the mood of the husband. How is my husband now? Is he in anxiety? If he's in anxiety, I should not, bring my petty problems to him now. I should speak about those later on. Oh, how's my husband now? Is he tired? Then I should try to relieve his tiredness, give him a nice drink, give him a massage in this way. So she should try to, how's my husband? Which mood? Knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. What is this bewilderment? My husband is like this. No, he's like that. I should leave him. That is bewilderment. Thinking that to give up one's prescribed duty is a solution. That is bewilderment. Okay, let's try to make this bigger. Okay, this one is working. Okay, this one will make... one moment. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, this is an indication of the relationship between husband and wife. A great personality like Chavana Muni has a temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position. That's an important fact. Great men, who have got some sort of opulence, they always want to be superior. That is the conditioning. It's not good. Obviously, it's false ego. But it has to be addressed. Not that, you're under false ego, I'll leave you. No, everybody's sick. We should help one another become relieved from this sickness. And how can the wife help the husband become relieved from his superiority complex? Such a person cannot submit to anyone. Therefore, Chavana Muni had an irritable temperament. His wife, Sukanya, could understand his attitude, and under the circumstances, she treated him accordingly. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband's temperament and please him. This is victory for a woman. Even in the dealings of Lord Krishna with his different queens, it has been seen that although the queens were the daughters of great kings, they placed themselves before Lord Krishna as his maidservants. However great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say, she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Not that I come from a Brahmin family, and therefore I'm greater and this, or, my husband is a Rockefeller. No, doesn't matter which position women have. At home, she is under her husband. Then her life will be successful. And it's a fact. We see that women who are capable of imbibing these instructions of Srila Prabhupada, because mind you, we are reading from Shastra. We are hearing Prabhupada, the pure devotee of Krishna, saying these things. Don't be angry at me. Don't throw stones at me. I'm simply repeating the words of Prabhupada. And I can see in my life, how it's so true. Krishna is saying this, Prabhupada is saying this, so who are we to say, no, this is in previous ages, now we cannot do like that, now women are more intelligent than men, or they're equal to men also. No, it's not like that. Sastra means past, present, future. So women in our Krishna consciousness movement who are capable of imbibing these instructions, you should show by example. That is one of the most important aspects of our society. It is so needed. Chaste women in society. Because practically speaking, there's no chaste women anymore. Practically speaking, if it's according to Vedic culture, strictness of Vedic culture, there's no chaste women practically anymore. You can hardly see. Hardly see. They go alone with their friends, they go out, they look at other men, they discuss with men, they laugh with men, other men, although they have their husband. What kind of behavior is this? These things should not be there. So who is going to lead the world when it comes to the relationship between husband and wife? Who is going to be the highest example? It's up to us, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, the followers of Srila Prabhupada. It's our duty to establish such perfect family, perfect grihastha ashram, so that others can see. They will criticize how women are inferior, this, that. They will, yeah, but what is your position? You had 3 husbands before. You've been with 10 men before your first husband. What is that? We can see. So to see the degraded position of the karmis and their so-called life of sense gratification that they try to push in everybody's throat, that this is the way, actually to see their degraded position is a proof that Vedic culture and the instructions of Krishna are correct. Because by seeing their position, we can gain faith in the instructions of Krishna and Prabhupada. We can see. No, you have left your husband, now you've got a child of another man, your child is smoking cigarettes now and he's fighting, outside, and we can see how fallen you are. So ours is not some sentiment. We don't say that because of sentiment that maybe. No, it's a scientific arrangement established by Krishna. Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam. Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. So these guna and karma, these qualities and this work also apply to womanhood. I mean to say to the woman caste. Woman class. Yeah, the woman class. So this guna and karma is there. So there are prescribed duties, there are qualities that women should develop, and there's actions that women should develop. These things are already into my husband and all. One will be happy. This is what Prabhupada says. Okay. When the wife becomes as irritable as the husband, their life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. Now, see, as irritable, that means the husband is irritable. And it's a fact, because husband, he's got to work, he's got to bring the money, he's got to do this. And husband don't mix, the psychology of man don't mix well with the psychology of women and children. Women and children can be together for many, many hours a day, no problem, because their psychology, their way of, of thinking, feeling, willing, is closer to one another than it is to men. And therefore, men don't feel so comfortable to always be with women and children, So, yes, the man will be irritated at home at times. It is inevitable, because after all, he's got so many responsibilities. A good husband will have so many duties that he will try to perform to the best of his ability. And therefore, there's a lot of weight on his shoulder. But if the wife becomes also irritable like the husband, then their life at home is sure to be disturbed, ultimately completely broken. This is what took place in my own life, my father and mother. If my mother could have tolerated and if she could have served my father properly according to his desires, that would not have happened. In modern day, the wife is never submissive, and therefore home life is broken even by slight incidents. Yeah, we've seen in the beginning 50% of all marriages in America finish. That was not the case. We've seen the clips 150 years ago. There was no divorce. All over the world, there was no divorce. Why? Because women were kept under the protection of the husband. They were under control. No false equality. Either the wife or the husband may take advantage of the divorce laws. Prabhupada is continuing here. It's a slight provocation, slight incident. Either the wife or the husband may take advantage of the divorce laws. According to the Vedic law, however, there is no such thing as divorce laws, and a woman must be trained to be submissive to the will of her husband. Now, we say that marriage life generally takes place of women because of women weakness. That's a fact, but it's not 100%. It's not always it's because of women. Sometimes it's also because of men, but generally because of the wife not being, being easily irritable like the husband. Westerners contend that this is a slave mentality for the wife, but factually it is not. It is a tactic by which a woman can conquer the heart of her husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. So Prabhupada here is telling us that there's a chance of being happy with any type of husband. Because yes, they say no, if you're married to a bad husband, the chart, I overlooked this one comment like that, the star, the chart, it will finish in divorce. No. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham vam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sujaha. If you surrender to Krishna, even this so-called chart, he can kick out. He can kick out. So even though in your chart, yes, there's divorce there, if you surrender to Krishna by following the instructions of Shastra like that, you can overcome these things. It's possible. You can change your fate. Not everything is fixed. It's fixed for those who are non-devotees. For a devotee, it can be changed. So therefore, even though by marriage chart there is divorce there, if the wife is becoming submissive and the husband is becoming purified, what happens? The body changes. The acharya, the pure devotee, has got this potency that he can turn iron into gold. What is that? That means changing the body of his disciple, who is a mlecha or yavana or chandala or whatever, into a brahmana. What does that mean, the change of body? Change of body means the change of the karmic reaction itself. That means that the karma has been changed, because all the activities performed under the guidance of a spiritual master come from Goloka Vrindavan. Chanting 16 rounds is not within the realm of the karmic activities, and following the four regulative principles, worshipping the deity, all these things are not within the chart or the stars or whatever. No, it comes from the spiritual world itself. So the more we surrender into that realm that is the eternal relationship between the Lord and his devotee, the more we get relieved from this material entanglement, which is the material body, which is the Shudra or the Brahmana or this and that, and we are reinstated into our eternal relationship. And therefore all the inebrieties and all the influences that this material body, which is the iron-like shackle, will be broken, and all these influences of stars and everything will be crushed to ashes, and Krishna will take more and more care of us. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all due respect. So the more we surrender to that, the more our body will become golden. And this is why the Acharya has to be a Mahabhagavata, because only a Mahabhagavata can change the iron-like body of his disciple into a golden one. That cannot be done by a Madhyama Bhakta or a Kanishta Bhakta, which they are trying to do artificially nowadays. And therefore they cannot be relieved fully of their karmic reaction, and therefore they have got great difficulty to advance spiritually. But one who has surrendered to the bona fide spiritual master, he will become golden-like. He will be raised to the mode of goodness, and then from then to Shuddha Sattva. And when this occurs, all these planets and this and that will not have influence no longer onto the body of the person, because he has actually changed the body. He is under the internal potency of the Lord. Krishna says that the great souls, the Mahatmas, under the protection of the divine nature. Divine nature does not mean this Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn, this, that. No, this is bogus. Divine nature means under the influence of Goloka Vrindavan. In this case, we clearly see that although Chavana Muni was not young, but indeed old enough to be Sukanya's grandfather, and was also very irritable, Sukanya, the beautiful young daughter of a king, submitted herself to her old husband and tried to please him in all respects. Thus, she was a faithful and chaste wife. So this is a good summary of how a woman should be, that even though the husband is not good, she should still remain. Now, we have shown in previous class that there is some exception to which a woman has the right to leave the husband, but that does not mean divorce. That does not mean that you sign a divorce law and then like this you can remarry again. You know, it's leaving the husband. That's what it meant. So we've shown in previous class, I'm not going to go back to those verses, but it's like this. If a wife wants to become a devotee and her husband is fallen, what does fallen mean? Addicted to sinful activities. Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. If he's addicted to these things, he has no intention to give any of these up. He doesn't like this Krishna consciousness movement. Then such a wife should give him up. She should give him up, but she should not remarry. Of course, Prabhupada tolerated that women will get married again, but this is fallen according to Vedic culture. This is not, this is not there. If you leave your husband because he's a fallen man, then you should take shelter of Krishna. You should surrender and find a place where you can live under the shelter of the Prabhus in the temple, and there be satisfied with your own devotional service. But not agitate things to get remarried and so on. That is not Of course, it will happen. Not all women will be able to tolerate for so many years. But actually, according to Shastra, she should not remarry again. And actually, let us go there, because it's important. I don't want, this is Prabhupada who's saying this. Remarry, how to again marry. Just give me some time here. Okay, this is actually a quote that I wanted to show in previous class, but I did not find that. Now, what I was looking for was not this, but now I'm looking at this, and I want to read that because it's a very important quote that I wanted to read in previous class concerning child marriage. Okay. In Vedic society, no girl was allowed to remain independent and unmarried. Independence for women means they become like prostitutes, struggling to capture some man who will take care of her. In this way, the so-called independent woman has to work very hard to make herself attractive by artificial wearing cosmetics, miniskirts, and so many other things. This is exactly what we're seeing in nowadays. TikTok means I'm making one video a day, more and more, wearing less to attract a man. And which type of men I'm going to attract? The low-class men who just wants to exploit me. Formerly, the girl would be married to a suitable boy at a very early age, say 6 years old. But although a girl was married, in previous class we've seen Prabhupada saying, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. Prabhupada says 6 years old here. But although a girl was married early, she did not stay with her husband immediately. That's an important point. It's not that at 6 years old the daughter leaves the house. How can she handle? No. But she knows already, this is my husband. But was gradually trained in so many ways how to cook, clean, and serve her husband in so many ways, up until the time of her puberty. So all the time there was no anxiety because of a girl would know I have got a husband, and the boy would know I have got this girl as my wife. Therefore, when the boy and girl would come of age, there was no chance of illicit sex. And the psychology is the first boy that a girl accepts in marriage, that girl will completely give her heart to. So this will help women become chaste. Why are Western girls, not all, but most of our Western girls have got a hard time being chaste? Western women have got a hard time accepting this psychology because they had a couple of men before getting married. So this attachment to men, they cannot get it anymore. Forget it. You cannot become completely giving your heart to a man when you had 3 before. It's not possible. But the first one, yes. And this attachment on the girl's side for the husband becomes more and more strong. Thus, if a girl gets a good husband, one who has accepted the bona fide spiritual master and is firmly fixed up in his service, that is a good husband, automatically the wife of such a good husband inherits all the benefits of his spiritual advancement. So you are fortunate. Go on in this present attitude, serve your husband always, and in this way your life will be perfect, and together husband and wife go back home, back to Godhead. Together, husband and wife, go back home, back to Godhead. Isn't this what all girls are dreaming of? Happily ever after. Well, all these tales of princesses and princes. Why this happily ever after is there? It's a spiritual desire that we're trying to get back. To eternally be together in the presence of the Lord. Just like in Goloka Vrindavan. They're a married couple, Nanda Maharaj and Yashodamani, they're married. But the whole center point is Krishna. And all the other gopis, they all have their husband. And of course, gopis is something different. They're in a paramour relationship. But all the other senior gopis of Vrindavan, they have got their husband and they have this parental relationship with Krishna. So it's very much possible that together, a husband and a wife in this material world who are executing Krishna consciousness can go back to the spiritual world together and continue their relationship there. stay together eternally, but in the service of the Lord. Isn't that the most beautiful love story? Huh? Doesn't that beat all this nonsense romance that we see in cinema and all? Isn't that the best? Huh? So, okay, yeah, we found it. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 11, Text 28. This is concerning leaving a fallen husband and not marrying again. A chaste woman should not be greedy, but satisfied in all circumstances. She must be very expert in handling household affairs, and should be fully conversant with religious principle. She should speak pleasingly and truthfully, and should be very careful and always clean and pure. Thus a chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of a husband who is not fallen. That's the thing here, who is not fallen. Just like Chavana Muni, he was irritable, but he was not fallen. He was a great Muni. So being irritable is not a sign of being fallen. Fallen means illicit activities. Okay. So she should pleasingly and truthfully. So the wife should not hide anything from the husband. That is not nice. She should be truthful. Speak, what is in her mind. According to the injunction of Yajnavalkya, an authority on religious principles, Ashuddhe sampratikshohi mahapataka dushita. One is considered contaminated by the reaction of great sinful activities when one has not been purified according to the methods of the Dashavidha samskaras. So Dashavidha samskara, many samskaras, especially in Brahmin family, to purify the family. In Bhagavad Gita, however, the Lord says, Namam dushkritinu mudha prapadyante naradhama. Those miscreants who do not surrender unto me are the lowest of mankind. The word naradhama means non-devotee. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, Ye bhaja se bada abhakta hina chara. Anyone who is a devotee is sinless. One who is not a devotee, however, is the most fallen and condemned. It is recommended, therefore, that a chaste wife not associated with a fallen husband, asadhu, non-devotee. A fallen husband is one who is addicted to the four principles of sinful activity, namely illicit sex, meat-eating, gambling, and intoxication. So you see, the verse I showed in the previous session was actually from the CC, concerning Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya telling his daughter to give up the company of her husband because he had offended Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is different. It's nice that we are seeing a different verse. So that is it. Illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. If the husband is only after sex for the wife and he eats meat, he doesn't care about giving up meat eating. He likes to gamble, intoxication, or any of those that he's too addicted. She should see that maybe, if let's say he's not eating meat, but he's gambling a little bit, that not that immediately she should give him up. No, she should try to purify him. By the strength, sometimes it's possible that by the strength of the spiritual advancement of the wife, the husband will become devotee. It is hard. It's not easy, but it's possible. But if he's addicted to all these things, and he's a sadhu, what is this Krishna? I don't care Bhagavad Gita. What is this, Specifically, if one is not a soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is understood to be contaminated. Thus, a chaste woman is advised not to agree to serve such a husband. It is not that a chaste woman should be like a slave while her husband in Naradhama, the lowest of men. Although the duties of a woman are different from those of a man, a chaste woman is not meant to serve a fallen husband. So you see that Varnashram Dharma can be given up for Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. But provided she's surrendered to Krishna, provided she's a devotee. A non-devotee, that doesn't apply to her. If the husband is fallen and the wife is a non-devotee, she should not leave her fallen husband, even though he's addicted to the four principle of sinful life. But a woman who's a devotee, because she can surrender for a higher purpose, the real purpose of life, which is to become Krishna conscious, that is okay. If her husband is fallen, it is recommended that she give up his association. Giving up the association of her husband does not mean, however, that a woman should marry again and thus indulge in prostitution. Just see how strict. So Prabhupada, in his book, he's given the true Siddhanta when it comes to remarrying. No, they should not be. But, he accepted sometimes his disciples, okay, you want to remarry, what to do? Because if he doesn't agree, that means the disciple will commit aparad. He will do it anyway, without the sanction of the spiritual master. That is the understanding. The acharya knows. If I don't let that person remarry, my disciple remarry, because of lust, she will remarry again anyway, because she won't be able to follow my instructions. So therefore, let me not instruct in that way. So at least she won't commit offenses against me. That is the psychology. But real injunction is women should not get married again. So no more men. If a sharing. And thus indulge in prostitution, such a strong word. If a chaste woman unfortunately marries a husband who is fallen, she should live separately from him. Did Prabhupada use the word divorce? No. Separately. There should be no divorce. It's just that you leave him. Similarly, a husband can separate himself from a woman who is not chaste according to the description of the Shastra. That's another thing. If the woman is always unchaste, always talking bad, always never listening, the house is always a mess, then Shastra says actually he should go to the forest, because forest there's tiger and at home there's a tiger. But at least the forest tiger, is not disturbing you as much as the house tiger. The house tiger is always there. The conclusion is that a husband should be a pure Vaishnava and that a woman should be a chaste wife with all the symptoms described in this regard. Then both of them will be happy and make spiritual progress in Krishna consciousness. Jai. I hope you are appreciating this class, and I hope that you are listening to Prabhupada, because this is Prabhupada speaking to all of us. These are not my words, these are not my realizations. We are reading from Shastra and Prabhupada. This is our process. Our process is to abide by Shastra, not to speculate. Women, men, all this, no. We abide by Shastra, that's all. Now, let us hear from the Lord himself, Krishna. Let us hear from him directly, and how he addressed the Gopis. This is from Krishna book, chapter 29, which is, Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. I believe it is called Rasa Lila Introduction. So the setup here is that the Gopis had already left. Krishna played the flute. The Gopis could not control themselves. They went to Krishna. So they are here now, in front of Krishna. And Krishna is speaking to them in a formal manner. Krishna wanted to impress on them that they were not old enough to take care of themselves. Actually, they require protection. It was not very wise for them to come in the dead of night to Krishna. Krishna also indicated that he was young and that they were young girls. It does not look very well for young girls and boys to remain together in the dead of night. After hearing this advice, the Gopis did not seem very happy. Therefore, Krishna began to stress the point in a different way. So Krishna has instructed the duty of women. He takes the opportunity. So this is Krishna. Krishna will do something, so many arrangements. So internal arrangement, external arrangement. Internal, the Rasa Lila, he wanted to have. External, what is this? Women leaving their husband at the dead of night. So we should see the external. Internal is not for us, not at the moment. My dear friends, I can understand that you have left your homes without the permission of your guardians. Therefore, I think your mothers, your fathers, your elder brothers, and even your sons, and what to speak of your husbands, must be very anxious to find you. As long as you are here, they must be searching in different places, and their minds must be very agitated. So don't tarry. Please go back and make them peaceful. When the Gopis appeared to be a little bit disturbed and angry from hearing the free advice of Krishna, they diverted their attention to looking at the beauty of the forest. At that time, the whole forest was illuminated by the bright shining of the moon, and the air was blooming very silently over the blooming flowers, and the green leaves of the trees were moving in the breeze. Krishna took the opportunity of their looking at the forest to advise them. I think you have come out to see the beautiful Vrindavan forest on this night, he said. But you must now be satisfied, so return to your homes without delay. I understand that you are all very chaste women. So now that you have seen the beautiful atmosphere of the Vrindavan forest, please return home and engage in the faithful service of your respective husbands. This is Krishna. This is God speaking. God is saying, engage in the service of your husband. Some of you must have babies by this time, although you are very young. You must have left your small babies at home, and they must be crying. Please immediately go back home and just feed them with your breast milk. I can also understand that you have very great affection for me, and out of that transcendental affection you have come here, hearing my playing on the flute. Your feelings of love and affection for me are very appropriate, because I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All living creatures are my parts and parcels, and naturally they are affectionate to me. So this affection for me is very welcome, and I congratulate you for this. Now you can go back to your homes. Another thing I must explain to you, is that for a chaste woman, service to the husband without duplicity is the best religious principle. Just see. Krishna is saying, this is the best religious principle for a woman. Not only should a woman be faithful and chaste to her husband, but she should also be affectionate to the younger brothers of her husband. And most importantly, a woman must take care of her children. Here, Krishna is telling very nicely. So, not only the husband, but the friends. Not that I don't like this friend of yours. No, if the husband has got some affection for a friend, she should be affectionate, even though she doesn't like the friend. Obedient to the father and mother. This is very important. Affectionate to the younger brothers and of her husband also. In which mood? She should see as children. She should see as her, these are my sons. My younger brother of husband, they're like my sons. And most importantly, a woman must take care of her children. That is their main duty. This is why it is sad that some of our women have to work. Of course, we know that, some circumstances and this and that, but women duty must mean being with the children. That is the real duty. In this way, Krishna explained the duty of a woman. He also stressed the point of serving the husband. Even if he is not a very good character, or even if he is not very rich or fortunate, or even if he is old or invalid on account of continued diseases, whatever her husband's condition, a woman should not divorce her husband if she actually desires to be elevated to the higher planetary system after leaving this body. You just see. Even if he's not very good character, or even if he's not very rich or fortunate, or even if he's old or invalid on account of continued diseases. There's a story that Prabhupada often said concerning this, that he was in the bus in India. Or I don't know if he was in the bus, I'm speculating, but he was passing by, and he saw this beggar, a man who was beggar. He was diseased, deformed body and so on. But he was nicely dressed. He was, hair was combed and everything, and his wife was next to him, and she was taking care of him. Even though he's a beggar in the street, he's got no occupation. He's fallen. According to social position, he's nothing, and the wife was next to him, continuing to serve him. Now, this level of chastity cannot be seen anymore. We have lost that. It is gone. This is, when we see such women that are so chaste that they will remain with their husband no matter what, which man will not respect such a woman? Which person will not give all respect to such a woman? And we are losing that. This is Kali Yoga, such a fallen age. So if in our own society our women are also puffed up, then what is the difference? If in our own society our women are also arguing back and talking back to the husband and speaking in harsh words and all, then what is the use of calling ourselves devotees? So Prabhupada spoke of this story, and just see how powerful is such a woman. Here's the Acharya who's coming down from the spiritual world, and he is praising that woman, and he's mentioning her in his classes. So she got the respect of the pure devotee of the Lord. simply by being chaste to their husband. Was she a devotee? He did not know if she was a devotee chanting Hare Krishna or, worshipping Lord Vishnu. She might have been a demigod worshipper, it doesn't matter. Simply by the chastity that she had for her husband, Prabhupada praised her. How strong, therefore, we can understand, is a chaste woman. How powerful she is, that she can attract the heart of a pure devotee like that. Old or invalid on account of continued diseases. Whatever her husband's condition, a woman should not divorce her husband if she actually desires to be elevated to the higher planetary systems after leaving this body. Besides that, it is considered abominable in society if a woman is unfaithful and goes searching for another man. Such habit will deter a woman from being elevated to the heavenly planets. And the results of such habits are very degrading. A married woman should not search for a paramour, for this is not sanctioned by the Vedic principles of life. If you think that you are very much attached to me and you want my association, I advise you not to personally try to enjoy me. It is better for you to go home, simply talk about me and think of me. And by this process of constantly remembering me and chanting my names, you will surely be elevated to the spiritual platform. There is no need to stand near me. Please go back home. So just see how Krishna is instructing. So through the Gopis, he has instructed all the women of the world. This comes from the lips of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The instruction given herein by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the Gopis was not at all sarcastic, because we might think, no, he wanted to dance with them and so on. No, Krishna doesn't speak in a sarcastic way, He's very, very serious. Such instruction should be taken very seriously by all honest women. The chastity of women is specifically stressed herein by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, this principle should be followed by any serious woman who wants to be elevated to a higher status of life. Krishna is the center of all affection for all living creatures. When this affection is developed for Krishna, one surpasses and transcends all Vedic injunctions. This was possible for the Gopis. Let's see what we've just read. When this affection is developed for Krishna, one surpasses and transcends all Vedic injunctions. So, serving the husband, this and that, can be transcended. Who was it possible for? This was possible for the Gopis. We're speaking of the Gopis here. Because they saw Krishna face to face. This is not possible for any woman in the conditioned state. So, unless and until one is on the level of the Gopis, there should be no divorce. Of course, we've seen that if the husband is fallen, this is not the same thing. But leaving a good husband, because the Gopis did not have a fallen husband, they were all very much pious, no doubt, how they can be the Gopis' husband. But they left, even such good husband they left. That is the point here. Unfortunately, sometimes a rascal following the philosophy of monism or oneness very irresponsibly takes advantage of the Rasa Lila to imitate the behavior of Krishna with the Gopis, entice many innocent women and mislead them in the name of spiritual realization. As a warning, Lord Krishna has herein hinted that what was possible for the Gopis is not possible for ordinary women. Although a woman can actually be elevated by advanced Krishna consciousness, she should not be enticed by an impostor who says that he is Krishna. She should concentrate her devotional activities in chanting about Krishna and meditating upon him, as is advised herein. One should not follow the men called sahajiyas, the so-called devotees who take everything very lightly. Okay. So, this is it. Then we come to the rasa dance. So, thank you very much. We will end here. Now we'll be taking maybe some questions. We are already 2 hours and 20 within the class. So I will start from the very beginning. So very happy to see all of you here. Thank you very much for joining. Bhakta Mark here saying he will watch as a recording. No problem. Thank you very much. Here, what was the age of Rukmini? Because I have just heard she was only 8 years old. I think she was a little bit older because she had firm breast already. She was described as having firm breast, you know. So at 8 years old is rare that women get breast. Firm breast means generally very young, like 13, 14 in this way, you know. Let me see. So Krishna kidnapping Rukmini. Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. Yeah. Okay. Okay, here we found it. Okay, so all the princes and visitors. So this is Rukmini expecting to be kidnapped by Krishna, you know. All the princes and visitors who came to Kundika for the marriage had assembled outside the temple to see Rukmini. The princes were especially eager to see her because they all actually thought that they would have Rukmini as their wife. Struck with wonder upon seeing Rukmini, they thought she was especially manufactured by the Creator to bewilder all the great chivalrous princes. Her body was well constructed, the middle portion being thin. Her high hips were adorned with a jeweled locket. She had pink lips, and the beauty of her face was enhanced by her slightly scattered hair and by different kinds of earrings. Yes, so the most beautiful woman should be with the most beautiful men. Rukmini Dwarkadish. The bodily luster and beauty of Rukmini appeared as if painted by an artist, perfectly presenting beauty, following the descriptions of great poets. Rukmini's breasts are described as being somewhat high, indicating that she was just a youth, not more than 13 or 14 years old. Here, not more than 13 or 14. Her beauty was specifically intended to attract the attention of Krishna. Although the princess gazed upon her beautiful features, she was not at all proud. Her eyes moved restlessly, and when she smiled very simply, like an innocent girl, her teeth appeared just like jasmine buds. Expecting Krishna to take her away at any moment, she proceeded slowly toward her home. Her legs moved like a full-grown swan, and her ankle bells tinkled mildly. I hope you all reading Krishna book, you know. Prabhupada said this book is very important for devotees. I used to read before only Krishna book. After reading Bhagavad Gita, I think Krishna book was the first book I read after that, and I read it 7 or 8 times. Now because I'm reading Bhagavatam, trying to finish Bhagavatam, I'm not reading other books. Sometimes Nectar of Devotion also. But Krishna book, I mean, this is the book for devotees, you know, because everything else is more or less the philosophy. Bhagavad Gita, a lot ABC philosophy, Srimad Bhagavatam, a lot of philosophy. But Krishna book, you're hearing about Krishna. This directly, you know. Devotees should read. Okay, so here's your answer. She was young, not more than 13 years old. Yes, so yes, it's saying how it changed. So I don't know who's ISKM TV. This is our official channel. So now we've got so many admins. I don't know who is there. But yes, the clothes, I take it that you're talking about the footages that we've seen 100 years ago. Yes, it changed so fast. This is a fact. Kali Yoga has degraded so much, and just see how fast. You see Arjuna's first chapter, right? You kill the members of the family, the older members. Irreligion creeps in the family, degradation of womanhood, unwanted progeny, hellish life. All these verses, 4 or 5 verses spoken by Arjuna, happened in the past 100 years for us. Literally. In the past 100 years, everything was destroyed. The whole culture, human culture, has gone down the drain so fast. Why? Because of this. Religion was given up. Because in the beginning, they were so religion. You know, my city in Montreal City in Canada, is called the city of 100 bell tower. You know, each church has a bell tower, because in Montreal, literally, you walk every 10 minutes, there's a church. You walk another 10 minutes, on every big street. You know, there will be churches, so many there, and much more than 100 in the whole city. That means what? People were extremely pious. You know, all those settlers that came from Europe, they were surrender to the Lord for their protection. You know, you're leaving your country, you're going to the forest basically, you have to cut down trees, build your first house. So one of the first thing they would build were churches. That was one of the first churches, hospital, and then, you know, a mayor house, you know, where the government would, and this way the city were being built. So churches were so important. People had strong faith in the Lord, even though yes, they were meat eaters, you know what to do, they're demlechas and obviously, but at least they were religious. And even my father, when he was young, every Sunday everybody would go to church. Everyone, there was no other business. Everybody would dress very nicely. He told me, he used to tell me those stories. His mother would dress him, you know, very nicely, tie or bow tie, and this way go to church, and everybody would go and listen, and the incense, and they would hear the priest. This was there. Now you go, you see the churches, they're all closed. They're being transformed into apartments or anything. Those beautiful, and they're beautiful. These churches are not cheaply made, you know. They're hundreds of years old, made with huge stone, you know, big stones like this. I see them when I was young, and huge stone like that piled up, beautiful church. And inside, the wood carvings and everything. How much people had devotion to build God's house, you know. So, and then economic development kicked in. 1920, 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and then 60s. Wow, 50s, 60s, that was the North American money was there, you know, everybody had cash. What happened? Well, when you're a Kṛṣṇa Adhikari, you get the money, then the religion side will go down, right? You get what you need by your own endeavor, so-called own endeavor, economic development. Religion is kicked aside. That was the mistake. And this is why you need knowledge when you come to spiritual life. Without knowledge, everything is sentiment. God give us our daily bread, you know, he's already giving. So when the daily bread can be manufactured, then you don't need him, you don't need God anymore. So because of this mistake by the men and the leaders of the church that could not lead properly, degradation of womanhood took place. Then the women, you know, they came, no religious principle in the house. Why should I be chaste? Why this, that? I also want, da da da. And then one husband, two husband, three husband. The children born of such husband are demonic quality. There's two type of nature, divine and demonic. And these natures will be manifested as they grow up. So you see 1980s, 1990s, all these adults are born of these unchaste women that were starting, and then they develop back, and then meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex increases, and boom, 1 year, 100 year, down the drain. Lakhu Trivedi, but Prabhuji, we should not make fun of Kali Yuga because of Kali Yuga, devotees like us can easily reach to Godhead by just doing simple pious activities. There's no question of fun. I never made fun of anything. You're misunderstanding fun with criticism. I don't make fun. Fun means to enviously criticize something or someone. Made fun of you. I make fun of you, you know, you got a mustache. It's due to envy. Criticism based on Shastra is intelligence. It's proper discrimination. How many followers of ISKCON are there, Prabhuji? Prabhupada followers, after Prabhupada's preachings, hundreds of thousands. Probably, if I were to guess, this is big speculation, maybe 200,000, 300, somewhere like that, I would say. I'm speculating, I don't know. This is after Prabhupada, after Prabhupada's preaching. Okay, let me see, is there any... Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Bhakta Bhagaram. Icha, oh, you're answering someone. Prabhu, please concentrate the verse session. It's different from the topic. Please, we will discuss later. Yes, good advice. Questions should be related to the topic. We should not try to divert the attention. A. In Vedic time, women do not used to work and men used to support them materially and financially. Now, can please elaborate why women still do not wish to work nowadays, still think men should support them? Now, can you please elaborate why women still do not wish to work nowadays? I don't see that. I see that women want to work. What I see is that women want to be earning also. They want to have their own salary, their own thing, and their own money. I don't see that they don't want to work. And it's not just in Vedic times that they did not used to work. As I said, you go back 100, 200 years ago, they did not used to work. They were at home taking care of the children. So now women want to work nowadays. They want their career and all. Not working is good. If the woman doesn't want to work, that's good, but doesn't mean that she has no occupation. She should. We have seen verses, being at home, taking care of the household affairs, taking care of the children, serving the husband, work. This work word, in the beginning when I started to read Prabhupada books, I was confused. Work, Prabhupada, what is work? Work, we have been conditioned. Work means you go out, you press some button and you get some salary. That's work. According to Vedic culture, the understanding of work is not like that. Work means occupational duty. That is what it is. So that's why dharma has been translated as occupational duty. Work for earning livelihood, work for getting sense gratification, work for religious principle, work for getting emancipation. All of that is together, is dharma. Not that work is just this, I get some money, some cash, and at home it's not work. No, occupational duty is throughout the whole spectrum of human society. Prabhu, what advice do you give to women or the children who are physically and or mentally, verbally abused by their husband? So I think that has been, we've spoken of that. If she's not a devotee, she should not leave the husband. If she's a devotee and the husband is a devotee, she should not leave the husband. She should tolerate by her service, try to change his heart. And we have shown why the husband sometimes becomes... If he's physically abusing, maybe the wife keeps replying. Maybe she's not quiet during arguments, or maybe he's agitated and the wife is not satisfying with sex. Giving sexual service to the husband. Maybe there's many things. So she has to see: is it only the husband's fault, or can I do something to change my husband's heart? Right now, if the husband is fallen, as we have seen, then yes, she should leave. But then not that she's not a devotee and she leaves the husband, and what is she going to do? Some sense gratification somewhere else and get married again? And what does she gain? At one point she'll leave her body, right? She'll change body and she'll go to another situation, another body where there's pleasure and pains also. There's no advancement. So I think this was covered. Bhakta Subramanian Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. There are crazy people who criticize Srila Prabhupada on the basis of one particular conversation where Prabhupada says something about rape. Yes. So this, of course, we can elaborate on that, but the nature of women, when they are completely degraded, they come to the level of animal. And animal, we see that they like being raped by the male. We have spoken in the past class that how the female cat, they actually inviting rape. And they don't have husband, right? They are in heat, and they let everyone, every male cat know in the neighborhood that she's in heat, and she positions herself, and any man comes and rape. And this is exactly what all is happening in this TikTok and all. What are they doing? They're showing their bottoms, right? They're shaking they're trying to attract by shaking the vagina. So the man is coming, yes, like an animal, a dog. What does a dog do? He goes and smells the most interesting part immediately of the female dog, right? He goes to smell that. So when human beings become on the level of animals, the same thing as dog. The she-dog wants to be raped and the man wants to rape. It's a fact. So these degrade. It's not that all women like to be raped, but all women, if they become degraded, will come to the point of wanting to be raped. They will like that. Otherwise, what is this? This wearing of miniskirt, and now even not miniskirt, even now they're wearing above. So you start to see the butt. You see that now. They like to show even their underwears and all of this. Or these leggings, this invention legging, right? So tight, you actually see Prabhupada said these pants means showing the vagina. They're showing, you see the shape, it's there. Everybody can see. And these leggings, even more. You can see the vagina is right there. So what is that woman saying? She come and rape me. Now, because there's still some little so-called morality, she knows that if I'm completely naked, people will say something. But if it's only people like her living in the city, then they will all be walking naked. Why? Because there's some people that are still having some conscience that are trying to save society, that such animals, two-legged animals, don't become naked. Because naked means what? You're lusty. All animals are naked, is it not? All cats are naked, all dogs are naked. There's no clothes. You want to have sex? Here, now, finish. Right? So they want that. These animals who look like human beings, they want that. They want that I can have sex anywhere, anyhow. And these annoying religious people are blocking me from doing that. They want to be animals, and we're trying to save that. So when Prabhupada said women like to be raped, it's a fact that every woman can be degraded to the point where she will want to be raped. Every woman. Because if she's not protected, this is how the nature will be degraded. It's a science. This is how the woman nature is. If she's not protected, she will degrade it to that point. And we see it. You open any TikTok, you open anything, what do? They just show themselves. Show their breasts, show their vagina, all of that, and this is an invitation. Here, I am available, I am very lustful, you try to come and, force yourself upon me. And the more she degrades, the more she will, this tendency to be raped is. There was I was hearing this, philosopher who is a Canadian, very famous philosopher nowadays. So he was speaking of a survey that they've done with young girls nowadays in North America, and what is it that they want in a man, and what type of fantasy you like. And they were saying vampires, all they were saying, like, vampire. I like a man who's a vampire. I like a man. What does that mean? The man will treat you harshly, and he will rape you. He will completely rule over your body. So they want that. It's a fact. Prabhupada cannot be wrong. It's just that these people, they have no, they don't know anything. They criticize Srila Prabhupada. We can explain in this way, but who will understand? Who will accept? Do you think that these karmis can sit down in this class and remain peaceful? These women especially? Do you think? They'll be throwing bottles at me, Although it's clear that he speaks with reference to particular context, still could you highlight on that just to give a befitting reply to those crazy people? So that is the way, that is what we've said. Women nature, if not controlled, if not protected, will degrade to that state. Because the less religious you are, the more animalistic you become. And not just women, men too. Men who are simply looking at girls left and right, where's the next? Prabhupada used strong words, He used vagina licking civilization, this word. And he was telling you write an article and you publish. Can you imagine? So how strong Prabhupada is criticizing this lustful civilization, that he used such word. And it's a fact now, all men are only this. You see a man, a pretty girl pass by, what is he going to do? He's going to turn around and look at her butt. That's what he's going to do. Here's a piece of meat that is meant for my enjoyment. And the girl is like, yes, come and enjoy me. She's showing herself. Animals, no difference. So therefore, they're not human beings. According to Shastra, they're not human beings. They're animals. Now we're bewildered because they have 2 hands, 2 legs. But you wear a couple more years when the karma takes effect after they leave that body. What are they? Dogs. That's it. So it's a dog that has now access to a human body. Yes, Prabhu, that was in a particular context. I think Nimandita Prabhu will speak on it, because many demons daring to say bad words about Srila Prabhupada. Yes, what to do? They will become destroyed. No. Yes, so not in that context only. It's not this a context. Women like to be raped means it can degrade. The context can be anywhere, anytime. If it happens that the woman is polluted, she will become to that point. I mean, I come from Western world, Most of you come from a pious background in India. You haven't seen the things that I've seen. I've seen degraded women. I know what degraded women are. I know how low they can get. I've seen with my very own eyes. I used to go to bars and clubs, all these nasty places. My background is so horrible. It's dark, very dark. So I've seen things. So when Prabhupada speaks like that, I don't need a second opinion. I was like, yes, that he's pointing directly and he's saying, and it's a fact. It's a fact. So this is the message that I had overseen when I started to speak about the influence of the planets. He's saying the neo-sage, he's saying marriage without considering genetic compatibility, varna, and psychological compatibility, astrology, is bound to break. It's a fact that this is a great science that Vedic culture used to have, that we look at the chart of the male and female, husband and wife, and then is there compatibility, and that's good, that should be implemented also. But someone who's surrendered to the Lord, he will not look at these things. Just like Prabhupada in the beginning, he did not look at the chart of these devotees. You're coming together to Krishna consciousness, okay, you get married. You're coming together, you get married. Because he knows that if they're surrendered to me, they're going to listen to me. And therefore they'll be able to overcome all these inebriaties. But it's a fact that it's a great science, and in Vedic culture, this used to be there. Inspired to shine. Who protected Mirabai when she didn't have husband? Who protected Draupadi despite 5 husbands? Who protected Ahilya despite husband? Who protects the woman I know whose husband died? Why is marriage important? I think we've covered all of this. And if you're on the level of Draupadi and Mirabai, yes, no problem. You can surrender to Krishna. Are you? Are you thinking of Krishna only 24 hours a day? Is Krishna the only thing that is within your mind? If yes, you can follow in the footsteps of Mirabai and Draupadi concerning that. If not, and even Draupadi, only when it came to the point when the husbands could not protect, then she surrendered to Krishna. Otherwise, she was the most chasteful lady. You speak of Draupadi, are you speaking of Draupadi, that her surrendering, going to Krishna directly, you're taking that as an excuse to not be married? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to make Draupadi your servant? If you actually have respect for Draupadi Devi, then let us see what Draupadi Devi is saying. This is a conversation. This is within Mahabharata. Draupadi speaking to Satyabhama when they met. I believe this was the solar eclipse. So this is Draupadi Devi speaking. So you're speaking of Draupadi, right? Okay. Let us learn from Draupadi. Why did I lose this? Okay. So what is Draupadi saying? Abandoning vanity and subduing desire and wrath, I always serve with devotion the Pandavas with all their wives. You're speaking of not even getting married, but what to speak of this? She's serving the husband and their other wives. Okay, so we should not try to use some examples of exalted ladies like that for our own sense gratification. Restraining jealousy with devotion of heart and without any feeling of degradation at the service I perform, I always serve my husband. Without any feeling of degradation. The desire to not be married to a husband is for that. I think, I will have to be degraded. If I get married, I will be subservient to the husband. I don't want that. Therefore, let me remain alone and quote Draupadi surrendering to Krishna and Mirabai. Ever fearing to utter what is evil and false, or to look or sit or walk with impropriety, or to cast glances indicative of the feelings of the heart, I serve the sons of Pritha, those mighty warriors as blazing as the sun or fire and as handsome as the moon, those heroes who are endued with fearful energy and prowess and who are capable of killing their enemies by a glance of their eyes. Now please don't say that, yes, of course she had the Pandavas as their husbands. Such husbands are not. Are you deserving Pandavas as your husband? We deserve what we get, We are puny, therefore we get, accordingly. Of course, we should not think that my husband is puny. But, I mean, come on, compared to the Pandavas, where is that man nowadays? Celestials or man or Gandharva, young or handsome, wealthy and adorned with ornaments, my heart is never attracted to any other. How chaste she is. I never bathe or eat or sleep till, that is, my husband has bathed, eaten or slept. Till all our servants and followers have bathed, eaten and slept. Can we equal? So we want to imitate her when she surrenders to Krishna, bypassing her husband. But are we gonna imitate her like that? That she never bathes, eat or sleeps before her husbands and the servants even? Whether returning from the field, the forest, the town, or hastily rising up, I always salute my husband with water and seat. I always keep the house and all the household articles and the food that is to be taken well ordered and clean. I carefully keep the rice and serve them the food at the proper time. This is Srimati Draupadi. I am never angry. I never speak harsh words. I never imitate women that are wicked. Avoiding illness, I always do what is agreeable. I never laugh except as a jest. That is shyness. Not that ha 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 ha, not big laugher, big mouth open. Just see, so Draupadi is showing us how to be a real lady. I never stay for a long time at the gate of the house. I never stay long in places of nature's call or in pleasure gardens of the house. So she never stays too long at the gate or at the bathroom or pleasure garden. Of course, bathroom, this is a modern invention. In those days, it was different. I always refrain from laughing loudly or indulging in high passion. She controls her passion. And from everything that may give offense. O Satyabhama, I am always engaged in serving my husband. A separation from my husband is never agreeable to me when my husbands leave home to go to my relatives. I give up, when my husband leave home to go to my relatives, what does she do? I give up flowers and fragrant paste of every kind, and I undergo penances. Whatever my husband does not drink, whatever he does not eat, whatever my husband does not enjoy, I always renounce. Not that my husband is not drinking something, let me enjoy. We're separate from him. We're not saying that you must come to that level. It's not possible for women, normal women. This is Draupadi. But Prabhupada says women in our Krishna consciousness movement should learn from such exalted ladies. O beautiful lady, adorned with ornaments and ever self-controlled by the instructions received by me, I always seek well of my husband. I always perform those duties that my mother-in-law formerly told me in respect of relatives. Not that I should dislike my mother-in-law. Your mother is like that. No. Great reverence. As also in respect of almsgivings, of offering worship to the celestials, of offering oblations to the Pitris, of boiling food on auspicious days in order to offer it to the Pitris and the guests, of reverence and of service to those that deserve our respect, and of all else that are known to me. I always perform my duty night and day, without the least idleness, having my heart firmly fixed in humility and fixed in approved rules. Don't compare yourself to Draupadi Devi. I serve my gentle, truthful, and virtuous husbands, considering them always as so many poisonous snakes capable of being enraged at trifle. Just see, that means she's afraid to disappoint her husband. Considering them always as so many poisonous snakes capable of being enraged at trifle. She doesn't want to displease the husband. So this fear of disappointing the husband is a natural feeling for the wife. My opinion is that to depend on one's husband is the eternal virtue of women. That was confirmed by Krishna. The husband is the wife's God. He is her sole refuge. There's no other refuge for her. How can then a wife act what is disagreeable to her husband? I never, either in sleeping or in eating or in adorning my person, act against the wishes of my husband. I am always guided by my husbands. I never speak ill of my mother-in-law. O blessed lady, my husband has become obedient to me for my diligence. My alacrity means brisk and cheerful readiness. She accepted the invitation with alacrity. So brisk and cheerful readiness. And for the humility with which I serve my gurus. So just see. So this is, again, that confirms the purport that Prabhupada says that this is the strategy by the woman to win the heart of the husband. If with such a nice service, my husband has become obedient to me for my diligence. The husband will, yes, my dear wife, what do you want? I shall, satisfy you. Every day I personally wait with food and drink and clothes upon the revered and truthful Kunti, the mother of those heroes. I never show any preference for myself over her in matters of food and attire and ornaments. I never reprove in words Prita, Kunti, who is equal to the earth herself in forgiveness. 8,000 brahmanas were formerly fed every day in the palace of Yudhishthira from plates of gold every day, Yudhishthira Maharaj. 80,000 Sanataka brahmana, all leading domestic lives, were entertained by Yudhishthira with 30 maid servants assigned to each. 80,000 times 30, you make the calculation. Besides these, 10,000 yotis with their desire under complete control had their pure and well-cooked food prepared, carried to them in golden plates. So she was supervising all this. Not that women are useless, cannot do anything. No. Look at Draupadi Devi. She was there supervising all this. All those brahmanas that were the utterers of the Vedas, I used always to worship duly with food, drink, and clothes taken from stores when a portion of them had been dedicated to Vishvadeva. The illustrious son of Kunti had 100,000 well-dressed maid servants with bracelets on their arms and golden ornaments on their necks. They were adorned with costly garlands and gold in profusion, and they were sprinkled with sandal paste, adorned with gems and gold. They were all well skilled in dancing and singing. These were the private servants of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And just see, I knew the names and features of every one of these girls. And also what they used to eat, and what they used to wear, and what they used to do. What they used not to do. She knew all of them. 100,000. Draupadi Devi knew the names of all of them, and she knew what they were all doing. This kind of lady. And you're using her as an example for you not being married. Please, you're speaking of a partial incarnation of the goddess of fortune here. She knew all of them. The greatly intelligent son of Kuti had also 100,000 maidservants who duly used to feed the guests with plates of gold in their hands. When Yudhishthira lived in Indraprastha, 100,000 elephants used to follow him. Such was the procession of Yudhishthira when he ruled over the earth. It was I who regulated their number and formed the rules to be observed in respect to them. It was I who had to listen to all their complaints. I knew everything about the maidservants of the palace and other servants, nay, even of the cowherds and shepherds of the royal household. Just see how qualified she was. Not only she was serving 5 husbands, but she knew the names of hundreds of thousands of servants, and she was taking care of their problems also. O blessed and illustrious lady, it was I alone amongst the Pandavas who knew the real income and expenditure of the king and what really their Pandavas' whole income was. She knew she was managing the entire treasury, how much qualified she was, and she was still putting herself submissive in front of her husband. O beautiful lady, those foremost of Bharatas throwing upon me the whole burden of looking after all those that were to be fed by them would always pay their court to me. Because Satyabhama asked Draupadi Devi, how come your husband are so handpicked, How come they're so inclined to you? This load, so heavy and incapable of being borne by persons of evil heart, I, sacrificing my ease, used to bear day and night, all the while being affectionately devoted to them. While my husbands were engaged in virtuous pursuits, I supervised their treasury, as inexhaustible as the ever-full abode of Varuna. Day and night, bearing hunger and thirst, I used to wait upon the Kuru princes, so that my nights and days were equal to me. I used to rise up from bed first and go to my bed last. O Satyabhama, this has ever been my custom. This is the great charm ever known to me for making my husbands obedient to me. I have never used any charms of wicked women, and I never wish to use them. Shrimati Draupadi Maharani ki jai. This is, the standard. So I hope you feel ashamed for what you're trying to do. And I thank you, actually. I thank you because we've read those verses, by actually your rendering service, by your artificial way of understanding the exalted position of Draupadi and Mirabai. You have forced us to show those beautiful verses which actually I wanted to show. Now we have seen. I salute Prabhuji for speaking so boldly. Please accept my humble obeisances. August Tisha Prabhupada Jai. Oh yes, it's very bold and outright. No mincing words. Amazing. Hare Krishna. This is how we have to speak. Prabhupada wants us to present the knowledge as it is. How to deal with materialistic abusive women who do not wish to work and expect man has to provide her materially to satisfy her sense of material gratification and will not pay any household bills. Yeah, she should not pay. The husband has to work, but the wife should be devoted to the husband. We've been discussing this again and again. And Prabhupada said that if a wife is not chaste at home, she keeps talking and arguing and this and that, and she gives a headache, then the husband should just leave and go to the temple, and live in the temple. It's very easy for a man to live in a temple and be. What does he need? He needs 6 feet of place to sleep. He needs 3 meals a day, and then he can devote his entire life to service Krishna. But if you like to be kicked in the face by such a woman, then you can continue. I do not know. I'm not saying you. When I say if you like, meaning if someone in that position, I do not know. I don't want to be disrespectful to your wife if that's your situation. But if she's not inclined to become a devotee, and if she has very bad qualities, then that is to be considered. You can try to make her a devotee first. First of all, are you a devotee? Are you chanting 16 rounds? Are you following the 4 regulative principles? You should work on your own spiritual advancement first of all. And then you can speak of all these things. Read Prabhupada's books, and you please chant Hare Krishna, 16 rounds a day. So can women work in the job, Prabhuji? So as we have shown, it's not that women are incapable, just like Draupadi Devi, who can do that? And no man on earth now can even do what she did. So women are definitely capable. But work outside, according to Vedic culture, that is not there. Now, in modern day situations, sometimes it's occur somehow or other due to forcing situations of the age of Kali, there's no other choice. But not that we should promote that. We should understand that, okay, we have no choice at the moment, this is how it is, but we should still understand that it's not proper. It should not be done so. But, what to do? If there's no other choice, no other choice, right? So, Prabhuji, if woman leaves her husband, then where she must go, how she must leave. So if the husband is fallen, she can go back to the father. If the father is still there, he can protect. If it's not convenient, that maybe the father is atheist or what, then she should go and surrender to the temple. We have some temples, and our leaders are to make accommodation for such women who are not to be protected by any devotee. Hare Krishna Prabhu, regarding serving a non-devotee husband, what is the position of Mandodari, the chaste wife of Ravana? Yeah. So Mandodari was very chaste, and she showed how much chastity was there. But Mandodari, she's another very, very exalted lady. And she knew that Ravana was bad, and she did not want to give up. But she's also born in the demonic race, right? So it's not the same situation as we are now. Now we're following Srila Prabhupada, we're trying to become devotees, chanting 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, we're trying to surrender our whole life to this Krishna consciousness movement. So within this situation now that we have, and even before, let's say 500 years ago, the daughter of Savrabhauma Bhattacharya, surrendering to Krishna, then there should be. But was Mandodari that kind of lady, that pure of a devotee? Or she was just chaste lady? I believe she was more in the category of a very, very pious lady for being very devoted to her husband. But as far as surrendering to Ram, did she leave Ravana and say, I will go to Lord Ram, surrender to him? So she's definitely chaste, but is she a pure devotee? I do not know. I don't think so. I don't want to speculate, but I don't think she's a pure devotee. According to the Vedic laws, okay, yeah, I know that some of you are quoting things, but I'm not going to be going through all the quotes. It's already 11, so I'm just going to try to answer fast. According to the Vedic laws, there's no such thing as divorce laws, and a woman must be trained to be submitted. Yeah, so we've seen this. Very good. So thank you very much for the praises about the amazing class. Here, women, they are generally equipped with the qualities of passion and ignorance, and men also may be, but men can be elevated to the platform of goodness. Women cannot be. Yeah, so that is Prabhupada actually cheating. That is a quote, one of the purport, or maybe a class. Prabhupada was saying like that. Yeah. Prabhuji, so we should marry devotee women? Is there any other use to get married? If you speak to me about marrying a non-devotee woman, wow, my friend, forest, here I come. Therefore, if the husband is nice and woman follows, woman becomes faithful and chaste to the husband, then their both life becomes successful. Yes. What about Vaishnava Hindu women? Yes, Hindu women, yes. I mean, Hindu means, Kanishta right? They are devotees because they accept Krishna, but it's all mixed up. There's no real faith that they are Krishna is the Supreme Lord, we must surrender. So there's no much knowledge, okay? So if one can marry a Hindu lady somehow or other from family, then you should make her a devotee. It should not be too hard, You have to be strong yourself, first of all. Okay, is it acceptable for initiated devotee to marry non-initiated? Why ISKCON gurus advise their disciples not to marry a non-initiated devotee even though they are following the four regulative principles? No, if she's following the four regulative principles, she can first, if she's willing to become a devotee, to chant 16 rounds and all, then you can marry her legally, first of all. But then let her become, to the standard of chanting 16 rounds and then taking initiation. And then it's not about ISKCON gurus. We speak of Prabhupada. You must come back to Prabhupada. If you want to know the real instruction, just like what we've shown, only Prabhupada books. We're not going to be showing any other ISKCON gurus books. Why? Because Prabhupada books are Shabda Praman. They are transcendental. They are freed from any faults. We cannot say that of anything else within the movement, any other books. So Prabhupada is saying like that. Prabhupada used to get his disciples married. Not that one disciple and a girl from, next village or something. No, first of all, you surrender, you take initiation. Just like we've read a quote. It was a talk, initiation and wedding ceremony. Why is together? Because the lady was not initiated, maybe, or I'm speculating, one of them was maybe not initiated. So get them initiated and then married. Marriage is to help us go back to Krishna, not to entangle us. That's why we're not advising to get married at a karmi, someone who's materialistically inclined, because she's going to drag you down. The whole point is to go back to Krishna. We haven't spoken much about this in this class because we're focusing on, chastity and so on. But the whole point is to go back to Krishna, get out of this samsara dava, right? Birth, death, disease, and old age. So marriage has to be with that aim in mind, not that she's beautiful, she's got wealth and this and that. All this is garbage. Marriage life without Krishna, nasty stuff. Is the whole point. Hridaya Granthi, the heart, the knot within the heart is this: male, female, male, female, male, female, always together. Sex, 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 sex. How we're being tied up in this material world just because of this sex. Everywhere you look, any living entity, pigeons, male, female. Birds, male, female, rats, monkey, male, female, hridaya granthi. This is the nut. You don't get out, my friend. Why? Because of this sex indulgence. That's all. Only reason. If you can cut that off, then yes. In Western Ukraine, people went to church every Sunday. My grandmother, when she heard from my father that he's atheist, she asked him not to tell anyone because everyone will think that he's a fool. Yes, people had brain before. Now it's completely opposite. You tell someone you believe in God, people think you're a fool. It is folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss. Can I balance my prayers to Krishna and other Hindu gods? Okay, this is a different topic. We're speaking of pure devotional service here. When you worship Krishna, you worship everybody. Just like you pour water to the root of a tree, every single leaves will become nourished. There's no necessity to worship any separate demigod. They're all part and parcel of Krishna or Vishnu. Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one else. So there's no necessity to do that. In fact, Hanuman would be more happy that you worship Lord Ram than to worship him as a competitor of Ram. Hare Krishna, Dandava Prabhuji, as it was clear the system Srila Prabhupada won, but the difficult I found is to cut the arguments given by these speculators and even Tamal Yashod. But the difficult I found is to cut the arguments given by these speculators and even Tamal Yashoda Prabhu Hamsadut. So what are we saying here? I don't follow. The difficulty I found is to cut the arguments given by these speculators and even Tamal Yashoda Prabhu Hamsaduta. So I know Hamsaduta fell down from sannyas, right? I think he had taken sannyas, did he? I believe he had taken sannyas, then he fell down. So it's not very clear what you're trying to say. But anyway, I think the class was clear. Is it good to work in chicken shop? What does that mean? Selling chicken? Of course not. There's, person who is raising the animal, the person who is selling the animal, the person who's transporting the animal, the person who is buying the animal, the person who's killing the animal, the person who's serving the animal, the person who's eating the animal. All of them are responsible for killing the animal. So if you sell chicken, you have to take birth as chicken and be killed in your next life. So give up that thing now. You're going to hell. You give up that job now. And what is the history behind this? Please let us know. I don't know much about the fall downs and the history of the so-called followers of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we've got many Go on our ISKM TV channel. I don't know where you're watching this. If it's ISKM TV, you can go. We have a section playlist. You go to Ridvik System of Initiation. You please go through those videos. If it's on my personal channel, you can scroll down. You'll see at one point Bhaktivikash Swami. So we've made a video against Bhaktivikash Swami showing how his philosophy is wrong. You watch this. Okay. How to choose a partner according to Vedas. Forget about Vedas. Don't jump over Prabhupada. According to Prabhupada, she must or he must be chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles, and having a bona fide spiritual master. So first of all, you do that yourself. Prabhuji, when the husband or father want us to work outside, then will working outside please Krishna? Or will he be pleased by not accepting other person's duty and carrying on Strīdharma? Better not bring any disturbances in the house at the present, and pray to Krishna to make advance arrangement. Now, if working outside can help us surrender to Krishna more, why not? Maybe you can get more independence and go to the temple more often, or live next to the temple, find a job that is near the temple. In this way you can surrender your life more. Because independence from an atheistic father, I'm not saying that is your father, but let's say is good in this way, that you're surrendering to Krishna. And Prabhupada said, yes, you follow, for a higher purpose you can do such things. But disobedience to if he wants you to work, what are you going to do? You're going to argue with him every day and stay at home and then do what? So with this money you can also give to the temple, right? You purify yourself, you give some portion to the temple in this way. So we have to see, you try your best, you pray to Krishna, my dear Lord, I will try this, I'll try to get a job near a temple. If you want this to work, you will make it work. If that's not what you want, you want me to stay at home and so on, then please make the arrangement. I'm trying something, the result is totally in your hand. You pray like that. Okay. Yes, wow, so much to learn from such a chaste, exalted devotee like Draupadi said. Certainly her word speaks her greatness in character and morals. Yes, I would never have known this until now. Just see, I saw this like some years ago when I was trying to find quotes in Mahabharata for this video I'm trying to make. And just see, this is the proof that all this is true. Where would such a character emerge? These rascals, stupid scientists, atheistic demons, they look for bones, they look for dead bones. We look for living brains. We see the Shastra and we see that such person is there. Who could have written that? Those words, those principles, this conviction must come from a person. It cannot come out from dead stone. Who is that person? Draupadi is there. She existed. The Pandavas existed. Krishna was there. It's all real. Dead bones, 10,000 years, dinosaurs, smack you in the face, kick you in the face, rascal, stupid. They are the atheist demon. Prabhupada said these scientists are demons, we must expose them. They are actually at the cause of all that is happening at the moment. They're prior to women being unchaste, the scientists, rascals, because scientists means what? They're the leaders of society. That means they're brahmanas. They're taking the position of brahmanas by being atheist and trying to disprove the existence of God. They're going to hell, all of them. Okay, now there's some quotes here. I think we've done it all. That's it. So thank you very much. Thank you for lasting so long. Still 40 of you are watching still after 3 hours. So I'm very indebted. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak and present Srila Prabhupada's stand on this, on the divorce and devotee marriage. So I hope we have covered everything nicely. If you think that this class was beneficial, please share it around, share it to other devotees. There's a lot of information that was presented, and we hope that you have appreciated our humble effort. Vanchakalpatarubhischa kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much. Ananta Kuti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories. Hari Hari Bol.